Might be moving to DC soon, just to raise me up a crop of crystals. Polished up, look at them shine, lined up in a pretty little box. I can sell uptown, no one would need a pistol. All the bad dudes trapped in crystal, crystal, crystal. Well, I might get me a stone, and I polish it up, wipe it down. Keeping my lonely crystal farm, have me a bumper crop, libtards on top. Moving to DC soon, gonna be a crystal prison tycoon. Moving to DC soon, a crystal prison warden. Well, got me a bag full of diamonds, got me a chest full of sapphires, got me a room full of opals, got me a warehouse full of crystals. Moving to DC soon, gonna be a crystal prison tycoon. Moving to DC soon, a crystal prison warden. Putting them in, polish it up in a white little box. I grow my own. Moving to DC soon, gonna be a crystal prison tycoon. Moving to DC soon, a crystal prison warden. Moving to DC soon, gonna be a crystal prison tycoon. Moving to DC soon, a crystal prison warden. Moving to DC soon, gonna be a crystal prison tycoon. Moving to DC soon, a crystal prison warden.
One more, I think. One more. Ooh, do I want to hear Midnight Harlot? No, you know what? We'll do Ripped, Rich, and Roided again, but we'll do the unplugged version or the live version or whatever. Yeah.
This is to all you out there who love your watch, your Lambo, and your wife's fake tits. Wake up. Wake up at 3 a.m. Rip, that's what a man is. Rare, that's what a steak is. Roids, that's what performance is. Lambo, it's what men draw. You sleep well. Are you weakling? Are you dealing? Are you really? Look at my watch, it's real. Look at my wife, her tits are thin. Save your hypotheticals. Look at my tummy, no homo, bro, Lambo. It's what men drive. Look at my watch, it's real. Look at my wife, her tits are fake.
Oh, I forgot my watch is over there. I tell you what. Actually, I need to go grab my water and my watch. I'll be right back in just a moment.
Did I mention I was in prison? the watch is fake, that's my wife's tits. Are you sleeping? Wake up. Are you weakling? Wake up. Wake up. Are you dealing? Are you reeling? Oh, are you sleeping? Are you weakling? Are you dealing? Are you reeling? Are you sleeping? Are you weakling? Are you dealing? 55K a day just to live. Fake tits.
All right. Okay. So I'm not gonna put this debate on screen because my main display is going to be on Minecraft, and for whatever reason, it won't capture the other screen when I have two screen captures going at the same time. Not really sure what that's about. Sure, it's probably my mistake because I don't know anything about OBS, but I need to check two things real quick. What does that say right there? Okay. Hang on, I gotta fix something real quick. I'm not actually sure. Okay, it's trying to fix the hold on, okay, we're gonna do this. Just trying to fix the sub goal, but it doesn't really seem to work. So what I'm gonna do instead is remove it. Goal. No. How do I remove? I don't know how to use this dadgum thing. Please. Yes. Okay. So now then let's do new source. This one should be region. this is the same thing. Sorry, I should have done this before. Maybe we just don't have the sub goal today until I can fix it. I don't know why it's not letting me. Because it doesn't seem to allow me to edit that. Okay, well here's what we're gonna do. Just gonna put the Crusaders goal back up and end after say 6, 30, 25. Start goal. Okay. And then we just kind of want to do, I'm just basically going to go ahead and change this to more of like that color. I'll go a little darker than that. Yeah, like that. That looks good. Bigging it up a little bit. Make it a little bit bigger. What? The hell? Oh. Sorry, I mean, I should. I guess I should have done this before. Not really sure why it's acting like this right now. Quite literally all I want to do. Okay. All right, there. That's gonna be good enough. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and press play on the debate. We're gonna go ahead and get started. So, actually, we haven't done any of the cable stuff. I'm just looking at the announcement in the chat over there. So I don't know how long the stream's gonna be because I'm supposed to be doing another stream with a buddy of mine when he's available. And when that happens, I'm not gonna keep listening to the debate. So we may get all the way through it before he shows up. We may be 30 minutes into it when he shows up. Who knows? But I'm gonna go ahead and press play on the debate, and then we're gonna go ahead and get started here.
Still haven't answered the question that I asked right from the start. What is the evidence that whatever it is you're living for today is true, is reliable?
I suppose, for example, if we
All right.
uncovered some early evidence of those 500 people.
So you'd have to shatter and rattle my experience. Intellectually, you have some good points, but experientially, I think atheism and agnosticism is seriously lacking.
Good evidence that the historical Jesus claimed to be God. More detailed accounts of post-resurrection appearances.
So all you got to do is falsify the resurrection of Christ, and my faith is bankrupt, as Paul points out in 1 Corinthians 15.
Good explanation for the problem of animal suffering.
You're too intelligent, you're too thoughtful, just to say I blindly
What's
just
that?
go about my life. No, you don't blindly go about your life, you look for evidence.
J-Dan says, for both, what proof, in parentheses, evidence, answers, or artifacts would you need for you to change your opinion to the other side?
Well, first thing that I would want is a good explanation for the problem of animal suffering, a good explanation for why there's so many mistakes in the Bible. There is some ideas that, you could maybe encode messages into natural numbers. So in the book Contact, there is this idea that inside high, you would find an encoded message. That would be excellent evidence for a creator God. But of course, we don't see anything like that.
To specifically adopt, I suppose, Clifton Stewart's
Oh, wait a
Christianity
minute.
with
This
Jesus
is not
God
the
and all
debate.
this stuff.
My bad, yes. This is like a Q&A. Like, why would this... That's on the 10th. Sorry, I just saw on their page that there's a debate coming up on the 10th I'd like to cover. First Amender versus Rachel Wilson. I'd like to watch that one. Anyways, am I crazy? Like, is this debate old or something? Like, I don't understand. Where is the debate? I could have sworn this debate just happened a couple days ago. Am I, like, tripping? Oh, this was months ago. Okay. Well, I tell you what then. We're actually not going to do that debate. We're going to go back and start listening to the debate that we started the other night. Sorry, I'm disorganized today. I don't know what I'm doing. Let's go back here. Not much anything to do with the Warriors highlights. Most certainly I do not. All right, so we're gonna go back to listening to this. This panel was crazy. So we're gonna
Let's
go
get this back
all
on
the way
track.
to about right there.
Because you're a little cuck.
Okay,
You're a
well,
little faggot.
Well,
God, I hate Grace. Oh my God, she's such a bitch. That's crazy.
let's see. If I was a cuck, wouldn't I want her to take my pussy? Are you just like saying random words that you
No,
learned
because
yesterday?
he doesn't like you watching. You have to pay extra for that. A
Wait,
lot
when
extra.
are we going to talk about race? race
So you're terrified of him. So you're both terrified of him because Destiny's afraid of him because he's going to take his pussy away from him, and Andrew's afraid of him because what? You smashed him so hard last time, Andrew, that you had to delete that debate off your channel because
Grace,
you thought he was a CIA agent because you thought my dad was a CIA agent.
It sounds like you're the one who's afraid. You're trying to replace yourself in a debate. You're trying to replace yourself in a debate.
I will comment one thing. I've had multiple female guests tell me to please not
Because Ben's a
have
fucking
Ben on
creep.
the same time as them. So I can understand the struggle from Destiny's side.
I've had
Just because he's a
women
creep,
approach me. 5 different women approach me that have shot him down because he's like very, very, very forward and very, very, very creepy. With
I don't mind platforming your dad. It's just I can't do it with a lot of women who like legit say I will not come on. If that
Remember that time he was driving down the street and started pulling that girl's hair who came to stay with you, Grace?
Yeah, she said it was fine.
That's not fucking weird and creepy at all.
Woman, right? Your wife probably beats you up every night, every time you lose a debate, which is always. She beats you real good, so you pay attention next time, right? She's a bodybuilder, right? She's got to have all those muscles for something.
Grace.
To beat her.
I'm not pulling on random women's hairs.
From Ben Thorpe for the 20th time online.
You're trying to replace yourself in the debate, Grace.
Andrew, you're the traditional one. I'm a 20-year-old girl. What the fuck am I doing on a debate
panel? I didn't invite you on the panel. Did I? What? Did I set the panel up, Grace?
Go ahead. I'll switch out for him right now.
No.
Grace, it's not my panel, Grace.
Not an option.
So we're gonna make some water wheels.
It has to be you, Grace. You can't avatar your way into your dad. This is not a Ben Thorpe. This is a Grace Thorpe debate. All right, let's redirect back to the initial topic.
Like just start seething. How can we direct back? What's the argument? There's no argument.
Grace, okay, if you can make an argument, what do you think about this issue without referencing the people on the stage? I think that would help a lot.
Okay. There are people, women are contingent on men. So.
Let's go. No, Ben. Negative.
Dude, he looks like a
Why not, Alex?
They want to talk shit. Here. No, because you were not invited guests to this panel. I'll have you on some other time, but I can't. I have to clear each guest with each person. I haven't asked Andrew, Ala, or Destiny if they're okay with talking to you. I'm not gonna do like a.
Not personal. Give him 5 minutes. Give him 5 minutes.
I'm not gonna do a bait. No. I'm not gonna do a bait and switch on the other people on this panel. It's not what I'm gonna do. That's not fair to everyone else who's here. So if Ben wants to come on, he can text me. We can talk about it. But it's not gonna be a bait and switch last minute.
He doesn't want to switch on them.
I'm not gonna do a bait and switch.
Ask them. Ask them.
It doesn't matter.
Ask Andrew and Destiny.
Destiny? No. No.
Make them say they're afraid of him. They won't talk to him. They won't give him 5 minutes.
I don't even care.
I can only shit talk him.
Okay,
I can only
Destiny
shit talk
says
him.
he's too
I'm too
scared.
scared. I'm so scared.
I can only shit talk you behind your back.
Yeah, I'm so.
What about you, Andrew?
Spoken like a true cuck.
Yep, true.
Let's fucking
He's
go.
chain smoking, which is a confirmation that he too is very terrified of your father.
Grace, I was extremely clear that this is going to be you.
Where did that
you and
paper
your dad.
go?
Like I was super clear about that.
Didn't you know they're a package deal?
Let's go, pussies. Come on. Let's go. Come on. Daddy's not gonna hurt you. Just fucking
This is
sit
like,
there.
dude, this is like a kid who didn't get invited to a party, who's standing outside the house for 2 hours, like trying to beg.
Give him 5 minutes. Give him 5 minutes. Give him 5 minutes.
Let me.
Come on, Alex. You know he's a better debater than I am. He's a better debater than I am.
But you were the one
Much
invited.
better.
Damn, he's a different person. You guys are not like a package deal, or I guess I didn't know you were. If that's
Pick
the
on
case.
the fucking girl. Come on.
You gonna let them all pick on me?
You started it, you
All
dumb
three of these
bitch.
people have said disgusting things about me.
You made it really, really personal. I'm just letting them respond. So far, it's mainly been you and Andrew going at it and making personal attacks at each other. I have no problem platforming them.
5 minutes. 5 minutes. 5 minutes.
It's not
I
happening.
just have to say,
It's not
Grace
happening.
has been kink shaming me in Nick's race play, and I'm very upset about it. Okay.
Ooh.
Well, feel free to make a statement because we haven't heard one word from you so far, Kyla. Don't fucking
That's
do
all
it.
I need to say.
I'm gonna kick you. I am straight up gonna ban you. Don't do it. I'm gonna ban you from the thing. You're gonna get permanent ban from my channel. I don't recommend you do it. You will be permanent banned. I will never have you on.
I don't know. I couldn't hear what you said.
You will be permanent banned from my channel. I will never have you on again. I will never platform you.
Oh, she gave me the headphones. I didn't hear what you were saying. I thought she was saying it was all right.
Back to headphones. It's getting super fucking weird. This is a Grace debate. You can't take her place.
No problem. No problem.
I don't know how to.
I didn't know.
Okay.
Bunch of fucking pussy.
You should get Alex to co-host your kick or keep. I feel like this is the energy that we need to be bringing.
All right.
Now let's get back on track.
Yeah, where were we again? We were waiting for Grace's argument.
I made my argument.
What was the argument again?
That we suck.
Oh, you can't
That we
remember.
suck?
Yes, that you two suck. Yes.
Okay, well, my argument back is
And
that
I'm a
you
good
suck.
woman.
You suck worse. That's my
Why?
argument back.
Why? Why?
Give me the reason why. Give me the
I already
reason
told
why
you
we
twice.
suck.
I told you twice. I told you twice.
Yeah, you
You're
have
a
a creepy
loser.
relationship with your dad. You have a creepy
You're
relationship with
loser.
your family.
You're a fake man. You're a fake man who tries to puff up his ego by being aggressive towards 20-year-old girls online and being an asshole. That's why. You're a prick. You're a prick.
The 20-year-old girl who just ran to get her father to debate with me.
All right,
You're
let's,
a
again,
prick.
I don't understand what I'm supposed to do
I
here.
want to get back on track. It was fun for a while. Let's get it back on track. Kyla literally has not said one word this whole time. I don't even know if she can talk because she hasn't gotten a chance to talk.
But that's
yet.
been the best part of the debate, though.
Let's
Because I'm
bring
a based alpha male.
Let's bring it back on track. So there's clearly disagreements between Andrew's position and Kyla's and Destiny's position. So that's a good point to start on. Grace, we're still not really sure what your position is. If you could explain how you feel about this topic without referencing people on the panel, that would make it a lot more clear what your thoughts on this are, and then we can have an actual debate.
Okay, women are torn between two options. They can either be rad trad traditional wives with fake masculine men at their helm, or they can be whores who get used by liberal men who may or may not have blue hair and, a sad face right now. So,
Okay. We can
and
build on.
you can forget Zoomer guys altogether. They're all addicted to porn. They're sweethearts, but they have no idea how to deal with women. So, women who are contingent on men don't have any men who can provide them with stability and security. That's why.
All right, we got an argument. Let the debate begin.
I don't know where we're at. I don't remember. I don't remember where we're at.
Well,
Grace thinks it's all men. Destiny and I are basically saying I don't know if the happiness thing is exclusively gendered, and I think I'm sorry, it's been so long. I literally can't remember your argument.
I actually don't
For
blame
once.
you. I honestly don't blame you for once.
He's quite forgettable. Yeah.
All right, so why don't we let Andrew repeat his argument really quickly?
Oh, I said I think that the primary reason for the decline in happiness, while I would concede that yes, it is across both sexes, that the reason that it's heightened for women in a general sense is because of the change in dynamic of family. So I think it's the change in dynamic at family and the amount of children being born less. And I think that the kind of primary function of women, if you will, or their overwhelming biological need is to have children. I think that's hardwired into them, and that when they have children, they tend to be happier.
Okay, there we go. I think Destiny and Kyla can definitely work with that.
Go, Kyla. I already talked.
Fuck. Sorry, I was distracted partway through by Netcast.
Wow.
I'm sorry. He was just asking me a question about some chore stuff.
Did you send him back to do the dishes? There you go, little boy. Make sure you do what mommy told you to. And you get your treat.
It's race play, actually, so I'd prefer if you don't like shame it.
What race is he? He's white.
If families made women more happy, they've got the opportunity to choose families right now. Why wouldn't they just do that? Do you think that like every woman in society? Because in order for the conservative theory to be true here, two huge sets of women are making mistakes. One, all moms are making mistakes because it's oftentimes moms that are pushing the daughters to go get school, to go get an education, to go get a career so that they don't have to live like the same lives that they did. And then two, all the women that are being pushed are making the mistakes of doing it as well. If it was like so much better to just be a mom, why wouldn't women just be like, fuck it, let's go settle down and have kids?
Well, because overwhelmingly they're kind of trained to want these goal markers, which is security based. Things like a college education, you see them going after higher education far more often than men, for instance. You see them kind of going for those markers more and more and more. And so it's societally reinforced, in other words, and has been for a while. We've been kind of moving towards starting families later and later and later when people are more financially secure. So women are waiting longer and longer. That's one of the primary reasons that there's a decline in the birth rates to begin with, is because women are waiting until later to have families. So when they even do have children, they don't have as many as they would have had if they had started when they were younger, because there's a kind of a time stopgap on this.
Well, even that's not necessarily true, right? Like, it's not like women tend to limit the amount of kids they have by how long they can have kids, right? Like,
I mean, that necessarily that necessarily follows that
no, it doesn't.
Women are more fertile when they're younger. Of course.
It doesn't matter. You can easily have kids up to probably 40.
You can, that's true, but the amount of defects and other risks which are associated with it greatly increase past X age.
Yeah,
so
well,
if you're looking,
but again, even at 40, if you really want to have kids, you can still have kids.
You can, but you're going to have less probably than if you started having them in your 20s.
Yeah, but how many people started in their 20s or started in their 30s? If you start when you're 30 years old, you could easily have 10 kids.
You can, but it's far more. You can, but it's far more risky. And generally speaking, if you look at the trends, it is riskier to have a child even at 30 than it is to have them when you're 24, 25.
Increase is really minimal until basically 35.
I didn't give you a percentile of how much the risk is. I'm just
a small jump in
Kyla, who cares? I'm just expressing there is a distinction. I'm making a distinction, Kyla. Calm down, Kyla. Let me finish my argument. So what I'm saying to you is that when women begin to have children younger, they do generally tend to have more children. If you look at like religious trends, for instance, you're going to find this same type of thing. Oftentimes, religious people get married when they're younger. Oftentimes, they have more children. It just kind of follows. And it makes sense almost intuitively, not just with the data, but intuitively it makes sense that if you start having children when you're younger, you're probably going to have more of them. Now, it might not be for every woman who exists, but I think that it's, as far as a commonality, true.
So is your claim basically that women are going to be happier if they can have more children?
Or any children. I think even any children is better. So
sure,
I think that.
But we all agree that you can have more, you can have children at 30. So are you? I'm trying to understand.
This is the nicest Kyla and Andrew have ever been to each other.
Well, so couples.
Because Grace is there.
I mean, that is
such a bitch.
That if you look at
I'm just asking. I'm literally just trying to clarify.
Yeah. So I am saying that I think that women, generally speaking, if they're married and have families, they generally report that they're higher on the happiness index than women who do not and are single. There's flux in that data, and you have to add other things into it, like religion, things like that. You're right when you guys say it's complex and there's more than one issue involved, but I do think the family dynamic is one of the primary reasons.
Like, do you think women would be happier with 3 children instead of 2? or 4 children instead of 2?
I don't know specifically, but I think more than one,
You'd expect it to go up. Like
find some
right?
kind of find some kind of correlatory. I do think that women who have larger families probably do say that they're happier on the index.
So the research that I can find on this says that the first and second children do seem to provide both parents a boost in happiness, but the third does not, and the fourth distinctly does not. So it seems like 1 and 2 kids seems to make people like happier on average, but beyond that, so like if we're talking about women having multiple kids,
for me.
Sure.
And then tell me where you're finding this.
But wouldn't you have to ask why women don't want to have children?
Oh, here we go.
Yeah, but I mean, right now we're just kind of we're just kind of setting the groundwork for whether or not it's even problematic, right? Like we're just starting by laying the groundwork, Grace.
But obviously, people are having less kids. What do we need stats for? Everybody knows that.
Yeah, we're not. That's not really what we're arguing.
She can't follow the argument. She's just stupid. She just came here to shit talk.
Why don't you understand?
What
why
are you
can't
trying
you
to
follow
determine?
the argument?
If the third and fourth kids make you less happy than the second and...
Oh my God, forget it. Just forget it. Just like, why even have the fucking debate? Why even have the debate?
I don't understand.
That's the first intelligent question that you've asked all night. What the fuck are you guys talking about? That's the very first intelligent thing you've said.
There's no conversation here.
Oh, you mean the statistics we were just about to go over?
Why don't we talk about the bigger question? Why don't people want to have as many kids? That's obviously true. People have way less kids now and have them later in life.
Because I don't think we would disagree necessarily about the reasons that they're having less kids later. I don't think that was the point of the contention, Grace.
It's about whether or not having less kids is making them unhappy, right?
Yeah.
You've got 3 skilled debaters and Grace. That's crazy.
So you can give your input
That's
on
just
that.
so funny.
Agree or disagree with that?
Yeah, Grace, 20-year-old lady, please tell us what you think about having kids and how that influences the happiness.
How many should women have before they'll be the most?
Well, obviously, I mean, people are made to have children. We're made to reproduce. So I think you should have kids naturally, of course. Everybody wants to have sex, and obviously sex ends in kids. So kids do make people happy. That's true. Families make people happy. The problem is people have fucked up families. Everybody sucks nowadays, so nobody wants to have kids. Haven't you ever, heard people say, I don't want to bring kids into this world? That's the problem. Everybody sucks.
So we're back to because people bad.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
So what would make people good?
Do you think people look at any of you 3 on the panel and think, yeah, that makes me want to be like
Yeah,
them?
but aside from us, what would make people good?
I don't know, if they were nicer, if they weren't ageist, if they weren't sexist, like you fucks.
Yeah, so the isms. All that we need to do is get rid of the isms, and
maybe if
then
they were
society
honest.
will be perfect.
Yeah, maybe if people were honest. Maybe if people didn't make fun of people.
I don't
for
have
having
45
sexual problems,
emeralds.
Maybe if people didn't do this bullshit like you did with Nick Fuentes, didn't you, Andrew? They're all pedophiles, and now you're buddies with him again, right? Because you obviously clearly don't give a shit about anything you say. People like you are role models. People like Destiny, you guys say things all the time that you clearly don't give a shit about. If nobody gives a shit, why should you have kids? If you think somebody's a pedophile and then the next day you're buddies with them or you think they're facilitating pedophilia, who the fuck should listen to you? You clearly don't care about anything except grifting.
I should just endlessly get swatted for the rest of my life and have my family threatened. Grace,
I do think you should. I think you should kill yourself. I think that would probably be the best outcome for everybody.
Big brain stuff.
Don't take it there.
Big brain stuff.
Don't take it there.
Crazy.
Don't take it there.
I'm just saying, that's my personal opinion.
No. Don't go there. Don't go there.
The world would be a better place.
No, it's cool. Let her get your channel banned, Alex.
Well, it's not gonna get my channel banned. Just kind of distasteful. All right, anyway,
Yeah, I mean, Grace is pretty distasteful. That's true.
So, I believe Kyla and Destiny were disagreeing with Andrew about whether having children is the thing.
Yeah. Hey, by the way, is that what a good person says? Does a good person ask another person to kill themselves?
Oh, I wasn't asking you to.
Is that like what?
I'm begging you to. Please.
Right.
Please.
Is that what good people
do? As soon as possible. As soon as possible.
Would you like categorize that as what a good person does?
We can all be relieved. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. If it would make everybody happier, then yes. Yes. I beg you, please.
All right, let's look.
Should they let 50-year-olds dance around them while they lick their panties? Does that make women happier, Grace?
Take all those guns you have. Take all those guns you have. Clean their barrels meticulously every day.
Wait, stop. This is a warning for everyone in the panel, but mainly you, Grace. Let's not talk about the kill yourself shit anymore. You can make fun of Andrew if you want or whatever, but don't do the death shit.
Okay.
All right, anyway. It's okay. I forgive you. All right, let's get back on track. So where the fuck were we?
I don't know.
This is the most I've ever had to babysit a panel. Usually on these things, I'm just like not talking for half an hour at a time. I feel like I've had to take like a very active role in this discussion to moderate this. Okay,
I
so
have
do
to
you think?
get more
Okay, let me
insight.
put the question like
Okay.
this: besides kids, do you think there's anything else that makes women less happy, Andrew?
Yeah, I mean, all sorts of things are correlated into this. So, one thing is loneliness. That's a big one, especially later in life. That can be a big one. But there's all sorts of correlatories. But I think that family function, family dynamics, I think that that's a big one. I think that women, when they're raised by single moms, just like with men, they have, they're less likely to be happy overall in life. I think that two parents in a stable household generally does better for men and women. So yeah, I think that there's a lot of different correlations which go into this, but definitely the family dynamic is important.
All right, so Kyle and Destiny, would you disagree with that? Or would you agree with that?
That the family dynamic is important
for happiness. I mean, of course, the family dynamic is essential for happiness. But you'd have to supply evidence that like people are experiencing like family relations at like a significantly less rate, and that's like directly contributed for unhappiness. Because again, like when I look at like happiness facts, for example, it seems to be the case that like there's certain trends that affect both genders. Like men's happiness took a massive hit in the 70s because most of the manufacturing jobs got outsourced, so they were jobless, right? And being out of job is pretty awful for your happiness. So I don't know. I just don't know if all these things are gendered.
Yeah, but I mean, you would agree right now that women definitely suffer from greater rates of unhappiness than men do.
No, that doesn't actually seem obvious to me based on the varied research. The one stat that Alex cites claims that, but when you look at like 2022 data from like Gallup, or when you like compare different,
Why did I do this? I didn't need to do
what
this
we
yet.
do see is like greater levels of specifically like anxiety, depression in women specifically. That does seem to be true, which we can definitely talk about.
Why do you think that is?
I think the like easiest thing to point at that seems to be decently causally linked is
my
social media.
My game is lagging pretty bad.
Particularly hard for women on social media.
Why?
I don't know if the reason why social media is hard. There's been some conversations about like upward comparisons and like beauty standards that are super unattainable for women. So it's not super clear why specifically.
So should women get off the internet? Should women get off the internet for their own good? That seems like that's what you're arguing, right? It's like women should get off the fucking internet and then they'd be happier?
Nope. There's like multiple solutions to a problem like this.
My
right?
brightness is only at 50.
If we could figure out what specifically in social media is making, because it also makes men unhappy, just at a lesser rate, we could maybe just change that so that men and women can stay on the internet and not be made sad.
What do you mean, change that? How would you change that?
Well, if we could figure out what specifically is causing the rise of unhappiness in relation to social media, we could, whatever that is, we might be able to change.
Yeah, but you just said that it's for women, it's because of beauty standards which are unattainable and these other standards which are unattainable.
I said
right?
that's one of the theorized ideas, but it's definitely not concrete. Like the data isn't clear on like what specifically about social media is making men and women sad.
Yeah, but you would just go with the data that you think is the most clear then, right?
Do you want to get into like predictive models? I don't know how to explain this to you. Not necessarily.
No, not necessarily.
So the data that we have is quite robust and does seem to show like quite strongly a causal link between happiness in both men and women, but more so for women in social media use and specifically certain types of social media use. But
like
the
what?
actual, so it seems to be the case that women who are on like actual like social media, so like Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, seem to be more affected in their happiness than if they're like on like Reddit or like surfing like the web like in a more like kind of like faceless way. Like Reddit, for example, is like men use a lot, of YouTube doesn't seem to have as big of a contribution for making people unhappy.
So like things like Instagram, you said that would be more correlative.
Instagram, Twitter, TikTok seems
so.
And
what do you think those things are on Instagram? What types of content do you think they're posting that's making them unhappy?
So I already said one of the theories is upward comparison, so like beauty standards, but that wouldn't explain men necessarily. It could actually be upward comparison for men as well. It's hard to say. But
it could be then that if the women left the internet and or got off social media altogether, that you might see men's happiness also increase and their happiness. It could be the same exact thing. Maybe what's making the men so unhappy that not so erudite is all the women posting, like half nudes and things like this and creating simp armies. Maybe that's part of it.
I guess you would have to present
Actually,
me
that just
data
kind of
that
fell
actually
straight into the
suggests
scene.
that men's
Well, there's no,
happiness would
well,
just
according to you, there's no
increase if
data,
they weren't on social
right?
media.
There's like no data, so we're just speculating.
Well, if
here,
you were
right?
listening, you would know that I didn't say that there's no data. I just said that like there isn't conclusive data to point to precisely.
Yeah,
why
it's not no
specifically
data. It's
social
just
media.
not conclusive data.
On
So I mean, we're
that question
speculating.
that you're asking,
I
yes.
think simp armies are actually
course
pretty
you
good
do.
for society as a whole. I think because simping for somebody is kind of a complicated relationship. If you like them, if you're funny, it does actually give you some meaning and purpose, especially for these guys, but also the women enjoy it. I think people in general have forgotten that relationships are what people are really all about. Deep relationships. And yeah, sure, we're all very disconnected, but like simping for somebody, messing around in chat, getting to know people parasocially online is better than the utter isolation a lot of people face. I think social media as a whole is good. Because people are
social media is like replacing real life interactions. I think that's the big issue.
Yeah, it's like a tool, right? It can be good, but like it also seems to have negative effects as well.
But don't you think real life interactions have like degraded a lot? People have a lot less family, a lot less community. Everybody's so wound up about their boundaries, about their space, about their consent. Don't you think like people
I'm
in
not
general
sure. I'm not sure I
let
like where
loose on the
she's
internet
going
a
with
little
this.
bit? Because in real
Gotta
life,
be honest.
relationships have sort of like gotten really, really alienated.
I think that sometimes, I don't think that's always true. I don't think letting loose on the internet is necessarily a good thing.
I would probably, I'll just offer this. My theory is I think there's a
You're a
direct correlation
moderator, not a
between how
debater.
much people spend online and how unhappy they are. I think that for people who spend like 10 to 12 hours a day on the internet, they have no friends in real life. Pretty much every single one of them is miserable and depressed. When I do street interviews and I talk to normies, most of them, they don't really believe a lot of this like cringy internet theories. They have normal lives, they have normal friends, they have girlfriends, they live life. I think there's definitely, those people seem a lot happier than the people I interact with on the internet. But I'll just say this on this topic.
True.
I mean, social media is good for like niche populations. It seems to have been good for like, for example, like autistic people because they can like have a better time finding other like autistic people to be friends with or like neurodivergent groups. But it like seems on whole to like, I would argue it's possible that the community connections are actually disrupted by social media itself. Like,
I think in moderation it's okay. Like in extreme moderation, it's totally fine. It actually can be beneficial because you can meet people you have never met in real life. Like when people overdo it, just like with anything, it just becomes like it just gets you. You just become antisocial. You spend all day on your computer. You don't have any real relationships. You don't have any real friends. People who you're friends with are people you've never actually met in real life. They're probably like some fat dude in India who you think is like a hot girl. So yeah, there's all kinds of issues with that. All right, that's as much as I'm going to get engaged in a debate. Do you guys have anything more to add to this topic? Do you want to move on to the next one?
You can move on. Like,
all right, cool.
I hardly even know where we were at with this one, to be honest with you, because the whole thing got derailed. So.
All right, well, let's try to keep the next one more topic. So, next topic is: should men treat women as equals?
No.
I don't know who you want to start with.
You don't need to make an opening statement. You can just free flow it.
I feel like this is always one of those like bait questions where what we're really asking is what do we mean by equal? I think that's like the because the same probably equal? Not, but like equal rights and everything afforded under the law probably right.
No.
Equal access.
I think we generally agree about this one. But I mean,
I don't know that I don't know that I do.
Okay,
so.
Does everyone
No.
think that women should be able to vote?
No.
Okay, there we go. That would be our disagreement. Why do you think that women should not be able to vote?
For the same reason I don't think most men should be able to vote. Which is that they have no stake in the game. And so if you don't have a high enough stake in the game, why should you be able to vote in the game or delineate the direction that the nation should go?
How do women have no stake in the game?
Well, not just women, men too. So this is the big problem. What I would
all
propose,
have a stake in the country and how good the
country. So what I would propose would be some sort of limited democracy, which is what we started with in the Republic anyway. Was a limited democracy where only 5% of people could vote anyhow. And I mean, our entire electorate system has changed drastically in comparison to the early parts of the nation. And I do think that stakeholder democracy is far better. What my proposal would be is service guarantees citizenship. So some sort of elongated unpaid service to the state, and then from there you can vote, and that would apply to men and women. I think both of those would be fine. I just think that you would necessarily end up with far more men who would do it.
Isn't the issue here really like, are men and women complementary, or are they like distinct individuals? Like, do they work together, or are they perfectly fine separate from each other? Because I think men and women are complementary. So a lot of the time when people say women should be treated equal to men, what they mean is they should be treated as men, which is sort of prioritizing men and deprioritizing femininity. Really what they are is they work together. Everybody knows that, right? I mean, if you say men are better leaders and women are better supporters, that's obviously true, no? They're different, but they have equal dignity.
I think everyone on this panel would agree that men and women work better together. I think the crux of the topic is when it comes to, like, let's just say dating, should you act differently around girls that you're trying to pick up than like your male friends, right? What are those differences? How substantial are they?
Well, I don't think it's just in dating. I mean, when you're asking kind of this fundamental question of should men and women be equal, Destiny asked probably the very first good grounding question, which is what do we mean by equal? So they're kind of making the distinction, or I think they're trying to, that of course men and women from an ontological standpoint are different, right? But that doesn't mean that they should necessarily be treated different in society. Is that what you guys are saying?
I think it's about like access to certain like opportunities and protections, right? Like we're not saying that they can't be treated different, because what does that mean? We mean like at a legal like governmental level, yeah, both should be given like access of opportunities. They should have like the certain rights. Assault on a woman is the same as assault on a man.
Yeah, but I mean the problem with this argument though is that due to the ontological differences in men and women, when this is applied, we actually see it become very unequal. So men get longer sentences, for instance, than women do for the same types of crimes, especially violent crimes. Same thing with sex crimes. They get much lighter sentences when it comes to that as well. So it might sound good to say that we can apply these things equally to both, but they don't seem to be being applied equally to both. And this might have something to do with the difference in men being men and women being women, that there's more fundamental differences there than just this kind of idea that we can treat everybody equally.
So you believe that the reason that men are getting longer sentences is because of an ontological difference between men and women?
Yeah, I think that men, generally speaking, hand out and dole out lighter sentences to women than women would to women. And yes, there is data to support that, by the way. If you'd like to see it, I can pull that up and send it to you. But I don't even think that that's really in dispute. There is a massive amount of lighter sentencing which happens across the sexes. And
right, but I'm
because
asking
men and women view each other very... Yeah, well, I think that the necessity when you're talking about being, that men are different, not just physiologically, but I think that there's
I need to
an
see how to
ontological
make
difference
blaze
between them
burners,
too,
because
yes.
those are going to be the best.
So would you
Kyla,
agree that
can I ask you
women
as a
should
woman?
get less of a charge than a man? Like, would you agree with this? If they're so ontologically different, it sounds like society's operating pretty well. Like if women are fundamentally different than men in most ways, and the law is therefore punishing them a little bit less, wouldn't that just be society responding correctly to the differences between them? If they're fundamental?
No, because each society has a different sequence of systems which that society operates in for their codified laws. So that might only be a symptom of a democratic system and democratic law. Whereas if you had a monarchy, for instance, or you had some type of government authority which had a distinction, you might not see such unequal things applied. In fact,
all right, seems like we're going to be going back to the
nether.
nether.
An earlier panel about witches, for instance, and how they would burn them at the stake, right? They would burn them at the stake. So what I'm saying is they seem to have not so much of a problem doling out equally harsh punishment. It just depends on the system that you're in. So no, I don't think that it's playing out how it's necessarily supposed to. I think it plays out maybe how you would think it would play out depending on the system you're in.
But
Okay,
Kyla,
so you
Kyla,
feel like
Kyla,
in
as
monarchy
men
or
and women are
communism,
different though.
they actually
But
treat
Kyla,
them differently.
Kyla,
So that's not
as a
about a
woman,
fundamental
Kyla,
difference
as
between them,
a
right?
woman,
Well,
as
yes,
a
it
woman,
is. It's
what do
their nature
I
playing
love they're
out in the
ignoring her.
system differently.
Fuck her.
Yes, it would be an ontological.
She's been a good girl.
It would be the nature of a thing
Thank you,
differently
Alex.
applied to a different
I
environment.
want to
Yeah.
say something to Kyla. I want to say that women and men are different, and women, we say we want something publicly,
Do it again,
but
bitch.
in reality, we want something very different. And you know this personally. Like, you know the top best-selling book of all time, apart from the Bible, is 50 Shades of Grey, right?
Yeah, okay.
Okay, so like women, like we like to say like, yeah, I'd like to be treated equally. Yeah, blah 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 blah. I'm the same as a man.
Not
I
hit me
want
from
equal
there.
respect. But in reality, we want to be fucking degraded,
What the
don't
hell
we?
is
Like that's why we eat up that book. We want to project ourselves as somebody who's like has a lot of dignity and everything, but in reality, like yes, we have dignity.
How
But what we
did-
really want for
what
men is
the
something
fuck?
we find shameful. Don't we just need to be honest about that?
Just because somebody's into some sort of sexual play doesn't mean that there's anything actually degrading to the person about it. There's a level of mutual respect in
I
that
would
way
have
as
to
well.
disagree with that actually.
But sexual play about being degraded speaks
Correct.
to something in you that you
No,
want
because
to
it's
be
sexual play.
dominated and
It's the difference
not
between playing a video
necessarily
game where you kill people and actually killing people.
Forget degraded. What about dominated? Okay, obviously that also affects your life. If you want to get dominated by a man sexually, you also want to get dominated.
I
by a
think
man
that everybody
in
there
every
would
way.
disagree.
That is not true.
Yeah, I would disagree.
That's absolutely true. Sex is like the key to your like soul. It reveals like your
All
true
right.
self, your sexual instincts, your sexual kinks. It reveals like things about your childhood. It's absolutely true. It's deeply connected.
Every single girl
Women
I've
want to
ever
be
dated-
dominated.
I'll just say this: every single girl I've ever dated has been super sexually submissive, but when it comes to like day-to-day life, like if I was trying to like dominate them, they would fucking hate that. Like absolutely.
Yeah, but that's because we're liars. That's because we want to seem like we're not, like we're
So
like
do
fancy.
you think like women don't
Because we're
actually,
liars.
like, we say we want the vote, but we're like lying about it? Like we don't.
Yeah, absolutely. Do women like confident men, or do we like men who like want to treat us as equals? No, we like. Why does
Why can't
every
those
girl
be
want to
the
hop
same
on
thing?
John
Why is a
Zerka's dick?
confident
Because it
guy-
treats them like shit, right? It's like the typical hockey player. The
hockey
guy
player.
who treats a girl like shit is the guy who gets
think he
all the
meant-
girls.
I think
right?
she meant
Because we don't
football
wanna
player there.
Say what we want is to be dominated. We just want to be dominated. So yeah, in debates like this, all the girls are going to say, "Yeah, I want to be treated equally." But in reality, we
word?
all know we want to
Come on,
get
man.
pushed around and told what to do, and we like that. It makes us happy.
So, Grace, are you saying all women are whores, Grace?
No, that doesn't make you a whore. It makes you a good woman that you want to be dominated. Very Catholic.
Yeah, no, you're dead too.
Just want to make sure that
I
we're
guess-
clear on this.
I'd be curious to know, Grace, why do you think that like women's rating of happiness increases when they get access to rights like voting? And in fact, one of the best predictors of whether or not you see women's happiness in a country is like their access to women's rights. Like, why do you think that these things are so correlated?
Is that actually like statistically true,
Well,
Kyla?
don't we have more rights now? And isn't Alex's whole point that women's happiness is going down?
Well, the issue is that we're contending a little bit with the point, which is that like women's happiness is going down a little bit, but men's happiness is actually tanking more than women's right
Well,
now.
Andrew disputed that, and we never really got anywhere with it.
It's not just this clear cut like, yeah, women are just less happy on average. It's like that's not really true. Like women have more mental health on average, but actually men's happiness is like massively tanking.
I don't know.
I mean, I was.
Oh no! Oh, good heavens! Oh, good heavens! Oh my God! I suck at the game. I'm bad. Oh my God! Please.
If you have like some data, I would change my position.
Yeah, I mean, if you look through like Gallup polls and stuff, like I said, it is contentious. Like the issue in part is like the way that we're measuring things like happiness. But on average, it seems like there are certain areas that like cause like tanking. For example, like if you have like access to rights, but the societal norms don't like update, that can create like issues of unhappiness where like kind of politically we're ahead of where we are like socially, which can create like this disparity that leads to like women's unhappiness. But it seems to be the case that actually like women's happiness bounced back quite a bit in about the 70s and started like popping back up. And right now what we're actually seeing is a massive decline
Come on
in
in.
happiness. That's why there's like concerns about like the
Bye.
loneliness epidemic. We're not talking about like the
Big ol'
woman's
stupid.
loneliness epidemic or the woman's sadness epidemic. We're talking about male loneliness.
All right.
But Kyla, can you just answer my question as a woman? That all like me and you both like. I'm not saying degraded. I was trolling a little bit before, but like I'm not saying degraded. I'm not saying it's like disgusting or dirty or whorish. I'm just
Well, why
saying
don't you stop trolling and start
dominated.
debating?
Dominated, like in a dignified way, that just one person is the leader. Do all women kind of want to be dominated? We find that the most attractive.
I don't know if that's true, right? Like there is the sexual thing that you're talking about, but the idea that like women just want to be dominated broadband across a relationship doesn't seem to be true. For example, in some domineering relationships that exist, like very traditional kind of like harmful relationships that are high authoritarian.
That's why I prefer bows, because you can do this shit right here. You got infinity on that thing, you can just let them rip.
Relationships where the man is like
but she asked you specifically about sexual relations. That's what she said.
Yeah, no, but the issue is she's gender.
No, I'm saying all around. It applies to all. It applies to all. Well, Kyla, what's the height thing? Why do girls like guys who are taller than them, bigger than them? Right? Because generally
like
smarter and older than them. Why?
I don't know.
Why do they want them to dominate them in all those groups? It doesn't mean masculinity. Yes, but what is masculinity? What are the markers? What is that pointing
at? One marker of masculinity.
That they're the same?
Bigger body.
Oh,
so that they can what? Other men and women. So that they can what? What's the word?
I reject this idea that like the reason that women are picking men with bigger bodies is because like, man, he can just destroy me in the bed. You know, he could, if he wanted to, he could murder me tonight. Like, I'm aware of that reality.
Well, then what are they doing it for?
Come on, that's part of it. So it's also like he's just bigger, so like you trust him, and also like he could hurt somebody for you, protect you, right? It's all of those things. Obviously,
like this is like basically now trying to say like because he's taller, women just like want to be dominated. That doesn't like map on at all. There's no connection here.
Women like the idea of men being taller than them, being over them, dominating them. I'm not saying it's abusive.
You're just like adding and dominating. I'm rejecting that. I'm just saying no. I disagree with that.
Oh come on, Kyla. You're not.
Well, Kyla, they just want them so that they can reach the tall part of the shelf. Is that what they want it for?
No,
is that what they want the big tall men for, Kyla?
Do you think that men want girls with big titties and asses because they're like, man, big titties and asses make them so submissive and easy to dominate? No, they're just
but that's
like
part of it, that they're more feminine, and the feminine is submissive.
Oh hell yeah!
It is showing. She's right. I mean, it is showing features that are feminine, and so you associate it with woman, and so you associate certain characteristics with that, of course.
Right, and I'm rejecting that the main reason that women are selecting tall men is because they want to be dominated by them.
What are they doing it for?
Because
so that they can reach the top of the shelf?
No, it's really mundane and boring. They look masculine, which they're attracted
and why do they want
straight women?
Okay, why do they want them to look masculine? What is sexually appealing about that, or just personally appealing? What is it about that?
I am.
It has a meaning
because they're straight.
Yeah, but what is it about being tall that they're
attracted to? Just because you're trying to apply some like Freudian meaning that like behind all of this doesn't mean that that's actually.
What the?
You would need to provide
Get
evidence
over it,
that
you
the
idiot.
main reason women find height attractive is specifically because they feel that they will be dominated by the size.
Okay, well
in fact,
here.
It seems to be the case that one of the major reasons that women are nervous of men with large size is because they're afraid of the violence risk, right?
Yeah, but that's also what makes them hot. Like, why are girls so against dating a guy who's equal height to them or shorter? Because that shows that the man, even though he might be a great guy, with them, it makes the man look weak, right? I mean, it's common. What about, like, Beauty and the Beast? It's not about, like, Beauty and the wimp, Beauty and the loser. It's Beauty and the Beast, right? It's about a girl coming into contact with masculinity and learning how to, like, somewhat tame it, but also get to know it and like it.
I'm just rejecting your like Freudian application to all of this. I think it's a lot more simple, which is that straight people are going to be attracted to markers of masculinity or femininity depending on like what their gender is.
Okay,
it's
so
as simple as that.
from
one of the marker of masculinities is a larger body.
California, you can pull this up because it'd be easier for me than sending it. But California State University, Fullerton. There was no nuance in their results at all. Out of 0 out of 160 women surveyed showed a statistical preference for weaker men. 0 out of 160 surveyed.
Yeah.
Okay, sorry, hold on.
Right.
Do anything.
Why do you?
Okay,
I mean, why would you
let's...
think that would be? What do you think their answers were?
Sorry, none of this has anything. I'm fully granting that women tend to be attracted to markers of masculinity. What I'm doing is rejecting your weird psychoanalytic narrative that the reason that they're specifically attracted to his physical size is because there's a sneaky part of them that's being like, oh god damn, I'm really excited for when he dominates me. Like that, especially globally, right? Because what Grace is saying is...
Well, she didn't just say that. She also said it's because of markers of protection and being able to protect you and all that stuff.
What she's saying is is that because there's a sexual desire to be dominated in women, which is common, and I've already granted that generalizes to all parts of women's life, and it implies that in like the day-to-day interactions.
It's obviously
Let's let Destiny get the word in. Destiny hasn't talked in like 20 minutes.
If you want to be dominated by somebody sexually, you also want to be dominated by them in your life.
That's
clearly,
ridiculous.
obviously.
No, that might be your experience, but that is not the average experience.
If that's your relationship with a man sexually, it would also be your relationship with him outside of the
I don't
bedroom
think that's
as well.
true.
Yeah, well, I don't know.
That's
I gotta
absolutely not
delineate.
true. Okay,
That's why I have to delineate too.
Alex, what is your number one?
Wait, let Destiny talk. He hasn't talked.
Yeah.
Oh no.
Chances are we are a sexually dimorphic species. There's some traits that men have. There's some traits that women have. Just because somebody has a preference for a trait doesn't mean that you can ascribe some causal link for why they have that preference. If it was the case that men grew fucking horns and women didn't, women would probably be attracted to nice horns. Not because men could wrestle with them or stab things with them, but just because that's going to be a difference between men versus women. Why do men have a preference for short women? Is there some advantage for us?
Well,
being
yes, but
short? There's not. But being short seems to be like a cool thing because you're like, oh, cool, because it's a feminine thing, because it's a way that we're different.
But
just because
Destiny,
we're different in some ways.
I hate it, but Grace has a point. I hate that. I hate saying those words.
For the ways that we're different from one another. Why do men like women with nice asses? You don't feed kids with your butt. It doesn't actually do anything. There's no function to it. So,
Yeah,
no,
but
because there's a preference for a thing doesn't mean that you can go ahead and unload that and ascribe that to a whole bunch of different reasons for why you might have.
But don't you think that there's a distinction in preference if people who are surveyed about what their reasons are, and in the survey you have like 160 women and they all say they prefer this trait, versus kind of the mixed bag of some women saying, or some men saying, I like shorter women.
Most women are going to prefer taller men. Most men are probably going to prefer shorter women.
Destiny, but that's ridiculous. You're just saying they prefer taller men because they prefer taller men. That's not an argument. Why do they like them being tall?
You're the one that's unfortunately you're trapped into a world where you're
loading. What is it that women
loading.
like about looking up at a guy? What is it?
It might just be that you just like the fact that the guy is taller. That it literally.
You're just hoping so hard. You know that.
Why do you think female mooses are super into like mooses with big antlers? Do you think that's because when they look at the male moose with big antlers, she's like, oh God, this male moose could dominate me? No, it's because the antlers have been sexually evolved to cue masculinity and testosterone levels, and what she's selecting for like strong partners to like lead to good offspring. The idea of like applying all this extra Freudian shit is just your stuff. This is like the whole problem with Evo Psych. We just try to imbue a whole bunch of stuff into it when it's like, because it evolved, because they evolved as different markers, we prefer tall men.
But you're the one using Evo Psych. What do you mean? You're the one using Evo Psych. So the thing is like, if we're talking about surveys, we're talking about surveys. But if we're talking about surveys,
always
a moose can't tell you why. A moose can't tell you why they prefer the moose with big antlers. But men and women can tell you why they prefer these things. That's the distinction.
Okay. Hold on. My bad. Then I completely concede the point. I didn't know that. Can you show me the survey you have where women said that they prefer tall men because they want to get dominated? I'll wait for that. Once because that's it. You win the argument.
Oh my God,
yeah,
you
let me
don't need a survey. This is why you guys suck so much.
Oh, so now the survey doesn't matter. Now the data doesn't matter.
Ask any woman. Ask anyone.
Look, when the data agrees with me, it's very valid, and you science boys just like it. But now that it doesn't agree with me, science is a joke.
My bad. Okay, I thought you were making an argument.
Do you need a study on why men like breasts, Destiny? Why do men like breasts?
I don't know. You tell me.
I don't probably because again it's a difference in species between it's a sexually dimorphic difference between men and women.
What is the difference that it signals? What is the difference between a man?
It literally does not single. It does not single anything.
Yeah, you would think that because you're fucking gay.
Wait, all signals is female.
Grace, what do you think, Grace? What do you think?
Nurturing, literal feeding of children.
No,
Grace.
So Destiny, the number one reason given in these surveys is because they feel more protected by them.
Grace, that's great. That's not dominating somebody. Grace, do you think that having bigger boobs means you can feed your kid better?
Oh, I'm dead.
No. I don't think bigger boobs has a sign of breastfeeding, but it's obviously a sign that somebody has, like,
Oh my God, I have golden
feminine.
apples.
Your body
Let's
does
fucking go,
reflect
dude.
your soul,
Hold
your
on.
personality.
I agree, Grace.
But I'm talking about breasts in general.
Grace, I agree with what you're saying. You just made my whole argument. You said that it's because they're feminine. Yes, it's the difference between a male and a female trait. Yes.
You can't just say feminine and get away with it. Feminine means submissive.
That's what you just said. You said more feminine. That is correct. No, feminine doesn't necessarily mean any of those things.
Yes, it does. That's why you like that. The boobs also signify that they're weaker, right? And nobody's gonna take a girl in armor seriously, right? Because they've got this boobs and ass flailing around, right? They're weak physically.
You should.
You don't have to talk about it in terms
Freud
of dominating.
Each other, okay?
You could talk about it in terms of just guidance. If somebody's going to protect you, you're also going to rely on them for guidance. If somebody is going to feed your children, it's not like they're necessarily weaker, but they will nurture what you're bringing into the world. They're softer, they're feminine. That's what's appealing about them.
You're right.
Does big boobs make you more female, more feminine? Is that
more nurturing?
I mean, it
more
differs, but it does.
We're having a conversation about boobs. I hate it here. Actually, no.
Women
You know
are
what? I
soft,
love it here.
warmer, and nurturing.
I don't know if you guys
like
knew this.
to be
Long
guided
hair
by
women
men.
actually proves evolutionarily that the woman is like closer to Earth and therefore like more grounded, and that actually cues to men that she's like going to be easier.
How did I get set on fire?
Better mate because the long hair, you know, obviously cues all these psychological factors about her, and that's why we're attracted to long hair in women.
Alex, let me ask you a question. What is your number one piece of advice for men who are trying to pick up women? What's your number one piece of advice? What's the number one trait they should have?
I would say be masculine as possible, as confident as possible.
Confident. Yes, exactly. Confident. So that you can
socially
what?
Intuitive. Yeah. I mean, it's a bunch of things.
Do you think
You
women
guide
should be
the
confident?
conversation, you dominate the woman, you lead, right? All of those things.
I think leadership is good. I mean, it depends on how you define dominant. I think being sexually dominant is great. Yeah, like most women are very sexually submissive. I would say like 99.9. But like being domineering in a relationship, I feel like can work for some girls. It's not. It's gonna piss off other girls. So that's a double-edged sword.
Well, you could say domineering. That has a negative connotation. But what I'm saying is just like guidance. Like he's in charge. He's going to make the decisions. Isn't that what you would say? You wouldn't say ask a girl where she wants to eat, right? You'd say set a time and a date and tell her you're going to pick her up at this time, right?
Well, I mean, like with my girlfriend, it's not like I'm like, all right, we're gonna get sushi Saturday 8:00. You know, like, oh, I don't want sushi, babe. Too bad. It's like, hey, what are you in the mood for? Oh, I'm in the mood for fucking, I don't know, like a steak. Oh, cool, me too. Let's go get that. So, I mean, I don't know. Yeah, I would say like in the early stage of setting up a date, you do want to kind of take the lead, take the initiative, and be like, all right, we should get together sometime this weekend. But you don't want to be like taking it overboard where you're like on a first date and you're like, all right, she's gonna get the hamburger. I'm actually a vegetarian. Don't listen to her. She'll take the meat. Like, you know, I don't know.
Yeah, obviously. But I'm not saying be a douchebag. I'm just saying be like fatherly, like guiding, like you are the leader. Obviously,
Can you not say fatherly, please?
Women are attracted to confident
a little
men.
too close to home.
Kyla,
you guys don't agree on that.
You have to
Not
admit
that
this as
appeal
a
to
woman.
me. No.
As a
Even
woman,
if you try to appeal to me,
you like
as
Kyla,
my
you like
ovaries would
confident men.
demand.
You like confident men. Do you like confident men?
I also like confident women. In fairness.
No, that's not answering my question. Do you like
every single
confident men?
person. I think every single person on this panel will agree that
Are you
women are
attracted to them?
attracted to confident men.
Are you
I think that
attracted to confident men?
Yeah, of course. But I could ask, hey, Destiny, are you attracted to confident women?
Yes.
Are you attracted to men who take the lead? Or are you attracted to men who ask you whatever you want to do first? Alex, I'm sorry, that's loserville to sit there saying like, oh, what do you want to eat?
Wait,
you don't think every girl finds it attractive?
Isn't Alex a pickup artist? Like, what the fuck is she talking about?
That's literally what people say.
It's just kind of cringy. You need to be like, with my girlfriend being like, all right, we're going to get sushi at 8:00. Oh, I'm really not in the mood for sushi. Too bad, bitch. You're going to eat that fucking salmon roll.
No,
like,
but you keep
like,
overdoing it.
like,
You keep
really...
explaining it as a douchebag. All I'm saying is he makes the decisions, not that like he's a douche to you.
But there's nothing wrong with like getting your girlfriend's input on where to go out to eat, like what she's in the mood for. Like I don't see that as like a sign of weakness.
That's true, but women don't like to be asked what to do. Have you ever like those are TikToks? Like,
Why are you saying in a panel with me and Alex? Have you ever? You're the one in here that has never. Why do you keep asking us? Yeah, what do you mean?
It's common sense. It's common sense.
No, then why are you saying have you ever? But it's just common sense. Don't appeal to our personal experiences because obviously me and him both disagree with you. Women don't like that overly macho, like blah, blah, blah. There are ways you can be cute or romantic with it, but like
you keep saying overly macho. I'm not saying overly macho. I'm just saying that men are
women
the leaders
don't like to make decisions. What the fuck does that even mean?
They don't like
being
asked what they want. Are you kidding
me? You can get our input, but like we're very indecisive, right? That's the whole thing.
Sure.
Everybody's where to eat, and she goes, "Oh, I don't know," right?
Yeah, sure. There's definitely a lot of times where you want to be the leader in a relationship, and that can be.
Oh my god,
women.
come on!
But again, it's all about like kind of the line that you walk.
What the fuck? I'm dropping
like it
frames
is still
for.
good. If you just seems like you're constantly just being demanding and domineering, that's going to turn a lot of girls off. But if you're like kind of a leader, but at the same time, you like get her input and like she feels like her needs are being taken care of. That's kind of where the magic is in terms of being the most attractive to a partner.
True.
I have lots of social experience and family experience.
Yeah, I wouldn't have said that.
No, you got lots of family experience. We know.
I knew you were gonna.
Yeah, I
say
do.
that, fuck's sakes.
I do. You've seen it firsthand and you laugh at it.
I have. You're a
here.
mom, a wife, a girlfriend, all at the same time. You got more experience probably than anybody
I
here.
wish I could be. I wish I could be those things someday. Hopefully.
Yeah.
I'm
All right.
going to put my personal dating experiences on you, and I prefer if you don't put it on everyone else. I would say lots of women do like to be led in dating relationships, absolutely, but they also like further input. Like, for example, hey, I'm deciding between these options. Which type of food do you like? Italian, and they'll list a bunch of cuisine. They like a man who's like maybe willing to put in a plan in action. Marcus is like stability, and he got his shit together. But absolutely, women want to be asked their opinion. I feel like that's like a common thing women talk about is it's really annoying if they sit down and a guy goes, you're getting this, I'm ordering you this. I mean, that would be like a super, super big red flag.
But don't you think the problem is that, like, if you talk about should men and women be treated equal, don't you think the overall problem is that women say two opposite things when they're asked that question? In reality,
like girls do, yeah, immature women do, but I think mature women figure out how to speak up for themselves and actually figure out what they like, and they say that. And I think it's an issue that we like infantilize women and don't encourage women to do this. But I think women
I think
who are
Andrew's
mature
probably
adults
gonna
do
pick
say
up
what
on
they
that.
want, and young girls tend to be like a little bit more confused, like most young people are.
But my dad set up. He had a streaming idea called the House of Wayward Hoes. We had a girl come over, and she was going to be his first wayward hoe
Get
that
the
he was
fuck
going to
outta
reform.
here.
She said she was into it. She called him daddy. She wanted to be reformed. Then she came over here, and he tugged on her hair to get physical intimacy, and he told her that she would have to slap him to like establish a physical bond. She freaked out, called her daddy, acted like a princess, and ran away. This is the problem. This is the problem.
The problem
we say
is that your dad doesn't know how to set appropriate boundaries with women, especially with new partners.
He set the
No,
boundaries. Okay with it.
setting a boundary with your mature adult. First of all, who's feedbacking so hard right now? Holy shit!
I don't know. I
It's
hear it
fine.
from somebody else.
It's fine on my end, but we can do if it's
Setting
bad.
setting an appropriate boundary is not just having one conversation. It requires a continuous check-in. It requires a knowledge of what the other person's comfortable with. If you're pushing a physical boundary, especially like
Mute
slapping
yourself,
or pulling
Alex.
that
Mute
quickly,
yourself real quick.
then I mean, like that's on your dad. Sorry, that's like a thing you should learn as you mature.
He was a perfect gentleman.
That's
to her.
crazy.
Wasn't. If she was
That's
that uncomfortable, she'd freak the
crazy.
fuck out and
No,
ran
no, no.
away.
See, that's the problem. That's the problem. It was simply her interaction with masculinity that freaked her out. She says
Alex,
she
have
can
you ever
handle
had an
men.
issue where a woman ran away from you after some shit like this?
I've never had a girl like physically run away from me. No. With no possible exception of one really crazy girl in Poland.
Crazy girl in
eventually
Poland? What the
she
fuck
came
is
back,
Alex
but yeah,
on?
that's it. We don't talk about that.
This feels like your dad issue than like a women don't know the truth, right? You're just like taking
Alex,
like, one
didn't you know-
institution and being like, my dad has to be the perfect picture of masculinity and health. Therefore, the only reason this woman possibly could have run away from my creepy father is because she was terrified of masculinity, not because
Yeah,
my
absolutely,
dad
yeah.
is inappropriate with women. She thought she was signing up for one thing with him, and then she got there, and it was a whole different ballgame because he was
This is
super
a
fucking weak.
clusterfuck, dude.
Yeah,
This is insane.
she thought she was signing up for a guy who was going to treat her like a princess, even though she's a whore who sits on dick, like basically on stream. She thought that was what she was saying. Alex, didn't you have a story about a guy who went on a date with this girl and she was super into like kinky stuff, crazy stuff, right? And then she did all that stuff with him, and then she accused him of rape.
No.
Didn't you tell a story like that?
No, I have a story where there was a girl that I was planning on meeting. This is when I was in Poland, who was like super like talking a big game over text. Like she's into like grape and like grape role play and like all that shit, and she wants to be dominated. And then she came over and she was like super fucking awkward and shy. And she like every time I touched her, she was on the verge of having a panic attack. But we never hooked up. Like she was just like too uncomfortable with the idea. So yeah, sometimes girls talk a big game, but that's like fairly uncommon. That's the only story I have like that.
Well, yeah, maybe I'm confusing it. But Kyla, do women envy your relationship with Nick? Does anybody envy your relationship with Nick? Where he
I
literally
have
comes
women
into
all the time telling me I won the gold lottery ticket. Yes, all
because
the
they
time,
want a man to do the dishes for them, to come in with dishwashing gloves and ask them
they
about
want
chores.
A guy. No, because Nick is a type of guy who, like, in many ways, like, exhibits lots of masculine traits, so lots of heterosexual women, but he's also, like, super kind and, like, actually cares about what we're thinking and saying, right? Like, when I say, like, this thing makes me uncomfortable, he fucking listens, right? Most women that I talk to about my relationship with Nick are like, oh my God, that's amazing. Like, I'm so jealous. Yes, absolutely. You just don't have a good conception of my relationship with Nick, which is fine.
No, it's probably not that. It's that she doesn't have a good concept of what a healthy relationship looks
Yeah,
like.
that seems to be more accurate.
I don't think a healthy relationship looks like your husband doing the dishes. No.
Why
I don't think
can't
that
men
looks
do
like a healthy
chores? Just because your dad is too lazy to actually help around
It's
the house with
obviously
anything doesn't mean that every
so
single...
Kyla, he fucking listens to you when you tell him what you're uncomfortable with, and that's a healthy
in fact, I'm
male-female
pretty.
relationship.
So
He
I'm doing
fucking
a
listens
bulk
to
of the
me.
work. No, Nick literally said, since you're doing a lot of the working right now, and I'm like stalemated with our website generation, I'm gonna pick up and doing more of the chores so that you're just freed up to do more school, because I'm doing school at the same time, so that I'm freed up to do school and work at the same time. He's
Right, so you're the man of the house, and he's
he's
supporting you. Do you think most women want that from a man?
honestly, yeah, I think a lot of women would be super happy with a guy who's willing to contribute a lot.
With
to
a
the
guy who's
household chores.
submissive, who does the chores and listens
You're not
when you
submissive,
tell
you're
them
just
that you're
implying
uncomfortable.
that into my You're just implying a bunch
You
of
said
weird
he
stuff into
fucking
my
listens
relationship.
to you. You said
I
he
did
fucking
say
Listening to
that.
somebody doesn't
You
make you
said that.
submissive.
No,
And
you
that's
said
not
when
even
I tell him
necessarily a
wait,
submissive
you
thing.
said when I
Wait,
tell
was
him
this
I'm
my
uncomfortable.
feelings?
You said when I tell him I'm uncomfortable with something, he fucking listens. You
Yeah,
dominate
because
him.
he's healthy and normal.
Also,
Yes.
I'm sorry. Hold on. I'm sorry,
No.
God, because you're no. Everything you're saying is so stupid. Part of being dominant, part of the most important thing, especially sexually, is listening. How fucking stupid are you that you think that, like, especially even BDSM relationships where there's a sub-dom relationship, listening is the most important thing that you do as a dominant person.
But
What do you envision these are?
Listen, she means follows orders. She dominates him. They're partners, right? He's not the man in charge of her.
You're just
right?
assuming that about my
Yeah,
relationship.
she
you
has
have
no
no idea about
But you
anything
just
about
said
my
that. You
relationship.
just said he
Grace,
listens to
I'm
you
sorry.
and he
I don't
does
wanna
the
keep getting into
chores.
this. Okay,
How
you're
is that?
kidding me, really?
How is that a
Can you
dominant
just serious
man?
for a second? Alex, can you turn up my mic? Apparently, I'm really, really soft, and everyone else.
I can turn you up. Yeah, you're already actually up mostly all the way, but yeah, you're actually up 100%.
I'm always really soft on the mic. I don't want to go too much into your stuff, Grace, but just to be clear, me and Nick have a really healthy, happy marriage and relationship. It's totally fine if it's not the one that you want. I wouldn't put it on anyone
Well,
necessarily.
then why did you open it up?
No, that's not what he meant.
By attacking a relationship like 15 different times.
No,
That's not
he's
what I
trying
asked
to
it.
imply
No,
that
he's
we've opened
saying-
our relationship. We didn't open our relationship.
Well, I mean, yeah, you said you did, and then you closed it back up after experimenting with it. Yeah, that's what you said.
No, we said we were opening it up in a way that like super Christian monogamous people would feel that it's open.
Really? In what way was that?
That we're like open to like flirting and like flirting around with people.
That's a Christian principle to flirt with other women?
Yeah, that's totally fine.
That
Flirting
is
a hand with
incorrect.
flirt,
That
not
is
a-
insane.
Just because you're hold on.
Hang on. Let's back up. Let's back up. I want to make sure. I get this right.
Okay.
So your
yes,
ground
let's
rules.
put my marriage on.
So you're hang on.
full
So your
blast.
ground rules. Your ground rules were not that you were able to have like a sexual profile of yourself out there on a website at all. You weren't advertising
was
yourself
totally
that
fine.
way.
Yeah.
Well, that was totally fine. That
Yeah,
was
in our
Christian. That was Christian values, not so erudite. Tell me how that's a Christian value. I want to
because
hear it.
I don't view God in this like weird Eastern Orthodox repressive way where I just
Yeah.
make up my
What
own theology
what
and
Protestant
then
would
I have a
agree with
hatred.
this? What Catholic would agree with
I don't
this?
care.
What Christian denomination would agree with this?
I don't care. You chain smoke and drug and drink all day. What
Yeah,
Christian would
yeah.
agree with any of those
The
behaviors?
Orthodox would be fine with it. The Catholics would be fine with it. The
No, they
Protestants would
wouldn't.
be
They
fine with
literally
alcohol and
wouldn't. No.
smoking. None of them
No,
are
they're
upset
not.
about it.
No, they're not.
Tell me which ones
Absolutely
aren't.
not.
Tell me which ones aren't.
Protestants, Catholics, and Eastern Orthodox.
No, they're
are not
fine.
super okay
Eastern
with
Orthodox
chain
drink and
smoking.
smoke constantly. Catholics drink and smoke
Especially the
constantly.
Lutherans, hell
Protestants
yeah.
drink and smoke constantly. You have no idea what the fuck you're talking about.
Just
Tell me
because
which one
they
of their
act in
values.
sin,
Now tell me
just
which
because
one
they
of their
act in sin.
values for ethics, though,
Drinking isn't a sin.
support you putting yourself out there on a private site and saying you have an open relationship, you're experimenting with an open relationship. Can you give me any form of Christian ethics which would ever support that ever?
Yeah, if you look up in the book of Exodus, there's a whole passage about, opening your relationship. Song of Solomon was super into it as well.
Yeah, send it to
You
me
have a
so that we
totally
can take a
healthy-
look. I want to hear. Hang on. What is this? Tell me where it is.
Exodus and Song of Solomon. Go look for it.
She
Exodus
doesn't
what?
know.
Just go look for it.
She's
Yeah, go
talking
look
about
for it.
Jewish
So
law
You don't
and
have a single argument for how Christian ethics would support you opening up your relationship and claiming you're a Christian.
Okay, Andrew. So you don't actually want to be teamed with Grace unless you can get some sort of weird optical dunk on me or Destiny. Then you're going to hitch your wagon right to the 20-year-old I don't know what all the fucking weird shit.
You're not going to be able
now
to
you're
divert.
hitching your wagon
you're
to her.
You're not going
Now
to be able
she's
to
great
divert.
and awesome.
You're just trying to divert. Answer the fucking question.
Yeah,
I don't need to answer
stop
any
deflecting.
questions about my marriage or relationship in debate.
Oh,
But
you've
you
been
were
talking
you were
about Nick
happy
the
doing
whole
it 5 seconds
time.
ago. You were
Come
happy doing it 5
on!
seconds
Just
ago.
because I'm
And you
willing to
also
answer
said
some
I have
questions
no
doesn't
right to
mean that
talk
I'm
about
gonna-
things because I've never had a relationship. So come on, sister. You
Oh no,
can't play
to be fair, okay, wait, hang on, hang
You
on.
were
Acting
talking
like-
about
acting
him.
like-
You were talking about him.
Wait, let me interject. I think each person on the debate panel has the right to talk as much or as little as they want about their personal relationship. You can talk about it as little as you want. You can talk about as much as you want when it comes to personal things. If anyone can draw the line wherever they want. So
That's bullshit. If we're talking about relationships and she brings up her relationship as a
Well, look, I
as an
just-
example
You
of a
brought up my
healthy
relationship. You
we're allowed
brought
to
up
talk
my
about it as much as
relationship.
we want.
Grace,
If
you
you
brought
say
my
it's an example of
relationship
a
up.
healthy relationship, we're allowed to talk about
Well,
it.
can you
as much
just
as we
answer
want.
this one
You
question?
brought up
I'll
my
let it go.
relationship.
I'll let
no,
it go.
Andrew. No, Andrew. I can't
wanna
answer
answer
any
it?
of your weird questions about my relationship. We don't want to talk
That
about.
you were talking
I
about
can
for
assure
20
you.
minutes before I finally asked the question.
Psychoanalyze
you
my
asked an
family for like
unrelated
5
question about my
hours on
religion.
stream. We can talk about each other's families. Don't do this. You don't have the right.
Okay, you guys
said
can
your
keep
relationship
loudly
is an
saying the
example
same thing.
of a
It
healthy
doesn't make
relationship.
any
I
of
just
this
want to
narrative
know how
true.
Christian ethics supports this. That's all.
It doesn't. It
I will
literally
say I got a
doesn't.
Bible verse
Okay,
in the chat
thank
that
you.
says, "And do not get drunk with wine, for that is debauchery, but be filled with the Spirit."
Where was this?
Ephesians 5,
In
chapter 5.
Ephesians?
Yeah.
Okay. We'll pull up
Chapter 5,
Ephesians.
verse 18.
Yeah, we'll pull up Ephesians. It's talking about drunkenness, though, but I'll pull it up. Ephesians what?
as
chapter
long as you
5,
get your tolerance up
verse
high enough,
18.
chat. It's okay to drug and drink as much as you like. Thanks. Okay. Glad we've got our Christian ethics figured out. Do you wanna
Also,
get
I
back
just wanted to
talking
give a
about
little
the
bit more
panel?
background because Grace was apparently lying about the situation with her father and the other person. Apparently, Grace's dad made it seem like what they were doing was just content, but your dad was doing things to that girl off stream. After she communicated that she wasn't comfortable with that continue to happen. So that is
He didn't
not
say
being a
it was just
gentleman.
content.
That's not
No,
being
that's not
dominant.
fair.
And that's not probably a healthy way to establish boundaries with somebody.
No,
And then
but
apparently your
the
dad said
entire
afterwards,
time he
your
was with
dad
her,
told
he
her
was
to
saying
leave.
this is gonna.
Your dad told her to leave if she didn't
was
like
tired.
it. Also, apparently that girl initially came to see you, not your dad, and your dad forced his way into it.
Nope.
Like I've been
She came to
reported
see
actually
both
with
of us.
tons of girls
No,
that he's
this-
done with almost every
So
interaction
who
with another
are
girl
you
that's shown up
getting
at
this
their
from?
house.
Because it's
I just want to let
Grace,
you
I've had
know
multiple people tell me this. Some
that
friends, some strangers.
Ephesians 5:18 is referencing drunkenness, which
Okay,
leads to
get ready for him
debauchery.
to stretch the Bible. Let's go, boys. Look, drunkenness is a sin. Addiction is a sin. Smoking a cigarette every now and
It
then
was
is
his
fine.
example.
But chain smoking.
That was his
being addicted
example.
to
That was
cigarettes
his
is a
example,
sin.
idiot. It was his example. Do you realize that was his example? Do you get that now? Now back to what I asked. I asked about Christian ethics. Can you explain how it's within the Christian
Man, if
ethical
Andrew
purview
stopped
for any
smoking, they
denomination
really,
anywhere
they really
to
would just
open
have
up your
nothing on
marriage?
that, man.
Okay, first of all, it said in the verse that drunkenness, specifically,
Answer
which
my
is
question. Stop
debauchery.
pivoting. No, it says don't get drunk on wine, which leads to debauchery. That's a distinctly different statement.
No.
Yes. Now answer my question.
About my open relationship?
Yeah. Well, I mean, you guys,
Yeah, I
since
would
you guys
agree.
are
Most
sparring about
Christians
it,
would
and you're going to
disagree
rip.
with me.
I think it's fair
Sure.
if you're going to rip on Grace
Okay,
about her
all right, Andrew.
dynamic. It's fine to rip
I
on
understand you're really
Shut up,
really
Grace.
invested and interested in my sexual dynamic with my husband.
you. You're
so
fine
sure.
ripping
I
on
can-
her about it.
as a
Why can't
good-
I rip on you about it?
Yeah,
Wait,
Erudite.
Kyle, wait, hang on.
Hold on,
Wait,
hold on.
let me interject for a second, Kyle. I think that what Andrew's asking, not so much about like your your relationship situation, but more about how that would be grounded in Christian ethics. I think that's what his question is in regards to.
Yeah, that is. I want to know.
Sure. Okay. So I already said that a lot of Christians would view it as bad in an open relationship. However,
Which Christians would view it as good?
Well, the issue is my openness was flirting and going on dates with
Yeah,
no
which
sex or
Christians
kissing.
would endorse
Andrew,
their wives
let her
flirting?
finish. Let her finish.
Do you want me to finish responding to anything, or do you want to
Yeah,
just keep
but I have
spinning your narrative
follow-ups, so
desperately?
I
Are
have
you going to
follow-ups.
just keep
You can ask
talking?
follow-ups. You can ask follow-ups.
Go ahead.
Okay, let's establish a couple of things for the narrative because it seems to be the case that we need to say things so that people believe it. So just so it's clear, the person who brought up any of the relationship originally was Grace Thorpe's fucking opening. The second person who brought up my marriage was Grace Thorpe again later on.
And you ripped into me about my relationship with my dad multiple times. So it's fair game. It's fucking fair game, bitch.
Yes, you're right.
Grace, stop.
Jesus Christ.
Go ahead.
Okay. In the case of my relationship, I would agree that lots of Christians wouldn't like it. But here's the problem. I reject a lot of the ways that Christians engage with the Bible. I reject things like biblical deconstructivism, which means all of the presets that you have about like what good Christians do, I don't really give a fuck what you think, Andrew. You're clearly living in sin. I'm not interested in your planks. Get your fucking finger out of mine.
So just to be clear, can you give me any Christian sect that you can think of who would be okay with their wives flirting outside of their marriage? One, just one.
Probably United Church would be super fine with it.
What do
And
you
probably
mean by
certain branches
And
of
what
the Lutheran
denomination is
What do you mean by
United
flirting?
Church?
United is the denomination, Andrew.
Yeah, okay. And what do they believe? They
Protestant.
believe,
It's Protestant.
and they believe that flirting outside of your marriage is okay?
There's probably many United churches that are totally fine with that. Yes.
Okay. And can you give me any examples of that at all?
Sorry, of specific churches? What are you asking?
Yeah, that's
for?
my question that I asked you. I asked you how
Okay,
it's in the
no.
purview of Christian ethics. You said it is, and then you gave me an example. So
I didn't
now
say that it is. Hold on, I didn't say that it is. I
So
said
it's
that
not.
most-
So it wasn't Christian, and what you did there, when you claimed that you have your own form of Christianity that you made up, where you're able to open your
Do you
relationship
want to
and
keep
still
spinning
claim
your
you're a
narrative, or do
Christian,
you want me to
is
respond?
nonsense.
Because all you're
right?
actually doing
Brewing
is talking over
stand,
me
okay.
instead of letting me answer your
I
question.
let you finish
Because
and then
this
responded.
Is what you do when
I
you try to
literally let
build
you
a
finish.
narrative. What you
I
do
let
is
you
when
finish.
people are talking, then you frame another question with
You're
a
still
certain type of
deflecting.
implied
You're
question,
just deflecting.
and then you
Wait,
build
wait,
a narrative.
let's-
I'm not
let's let
deflective. I'm doing a meta conversation. Andrew, you don't know what Christianity is because you're a fucking heretic Eastern Orthodox loser. I don't give
How
a
would
fuck what you
how
think
would you
about my
know?
faith. I
How
don't
would
give
you
a
know?
fuck what you think about my religion.
How
would you
because I
know?
looked into Eastern
Very true.
Orthodox, and you're
Yeah.
LARPing, lying Protestants.
You think that
pretend like
flirting
you're cool
outside
like
your
Catholics,
marriage and
but
opening it
remember,
up and
you
something.
have been bailed
Can
out
we
by
establish
Catholics
what flirting
multiple
means?
times because Muslims were
Who cares
ass
if
raping
it's-
you
who-
for hundreds of years, and you're the only dying religion on the fucking planet because Catholics and Protestants still have to bail you out. You're a pathetic loser of a religion.
Who
Nobody
cares?
gives a fuck what you have to
Erudite,
say.
Erudite,
I
wait,
don't
wait.
care
Why does
anything about your theological interpretations of fucking anything. Go take it up with your Trinity. I don't care.
But why does
So
anybody
can you
care if
so
you
can you
think
give me
this
an
is Christian?
example
You're not
of any
What is this?
Christian of any
It doesn't have
prominent
to do with
Christian group
Christianity.
anywhere who would
I
say
literally
that
just
opening?
said United Church. No, did I, Andrew? Did I come within my back pocket a specific church with a specific pastor who's agreed with me? No, because I didn't expect to come to this thing and have you tag teaming with apparently a 20-year-old debaucherer that you hate to like put my relationship
She's
on
so
blast.
triggered.
Wait, of course I
You
am.
can't
guys
handle
are-
anybody agreeing with me, bitch. Listen, can we get to
Yes,
like what
that's
do you mean
the problem, Grace. I'm
what do
so
you mean by
upset that
flirting?
people
Looking
are
at
What do you mean?
I'm looking
what
at
do you
United
mean
Church.
by-
There's many of them, but I can't find anything on the doctrine of marriage saying that it's okay for you to open your marriage up and flirt outside of it. Erudite, can you show
Do
me
you think I'd give a
anything that
flying
supports that
fuck
at all?
what a
She's not Christian, though.
It's
Who
your
cares?
example. It's your example. It's
Do you
your
want me to respond to you?
example.
Do you want me to respond to you? Do you
lunatic.
want me to respond to you? Do you want me
Yes.
to respond to you? Do you want to
Yeah.
keep interrupting me and building a narrative? Okay.
Because
I
the
don't give
narrative's
a fuck.
true.
Do you want me to respond to you? or do you want me to-
Let's let Kyla respond. Go ahead.
Okay. I don't give a fuck what a random heretic in a made-up church is saying anything about my religion. You're
It was
living
your
in sin.
example.
At best, you're a Pharisee. At
It's your
best.
example.
At worst, I'm a Sadducee. I don't give a fuck. I'd rather be a Sadducee than a Pharisee every single fucking
That's
day.
awful.
Your
That's
interpretation of
worse.
The Bible is pathetic.
But
Your
Erudite, who cares?
interpretation of the
Erudite.
Bible, shut the fuck up, Grace. Your interpretation of the Bible makes you justify doing things like absolutely hating people, chain smoking, and like
Mhm.
living in abject hatred and mocking other people.
Yeah.
I reject any part of your religion. I don't want to fucking touch it.
Okay, I
think
get
it's
it.
evil.
I get it.
Fuck
Eastern
off with it.
Orthodoxy bad, fine. I'll whatever you say
Yes.
there. But I got to ask you again. Can you
Can
show
I
me
get a
any
specific
that
pastor
the
out of
United
United Church who has personally signed
It's
off
your
on your
example.
relationship?
Hang on.
Okay, but there's a
It's your
bigger question.
God, this
example.
whiskey's good. Do you have any examples
Your
of a specific pastor? No,
example.
I don't have a specific
That
pastor.
was your example for why it was okay.
But it doesn't matter
United
whether
Church?
it's
Yeah.
Christian. It
Your
doesn't matter whether
example.
it's Christian. It doesn't have to be Christian. Kyla, you agree that marriage is about exclusivity, right? I'm going to be exclusive with this person. So what do you mean by flirting and going on dates with other people? Like,
I
literally,
don't
what does that
actually
mean?
wholly agree with that. When it comes to the marriage doctrine of the Bible, go through the Bible.
I'm not saying the
There are
Bible, I'm just
multiple
saying generally
variations
understood.
of it. The idea that there's like this.
I'm not
clear
arguing from a
dogma
Christian
is just
point
like
of view.
Protestant Catholic bullshit that they like made up afterwards.
Let's let Destiny get in on this because he also has a
But
I
Kyla,
give
what
you
were the
thoughts on my
vows that you
he
took?
has an unusual
What
relationship.
does flirting
I think
mean?
he can also get
What
on
does
this.
that mean with other
Think about
people
it,
if you're in a
Grace.
marriage?
Think
If you're in a
about it.
marriage, emotional intimacy with somebody else, sharing.
Every time I see
you know,
Destiny, he
not
rolls
what
up
I
with a new girl. So
Emotionally?
you can
Well,
speak
then
on the
what does
topic.
flirting mean? You said it's not sexual, or it doesn't lead to sex or kissing or anything
Do
like
you know?
that.
Do you okay? What flirting means? So maybe you're young, you haven't had many relationships, you don't know. Flirting is when two people who are somewhat attracted to each other will have some sort of like witty, playful banter back and forth. That has typically, if you're a good flirter, you don't just say sexual stuff all the time. That would make you a bad flirter.
I'm saying they're sexually interested in each other. You just said
No. A lot of times people flirt with people that they're not sexually interested in because flirting
Oh,
is
okay.
fun.
Well,
People
she's
flirt
just
with
coping.
people
That's
for damn
ridiculous.
time that
That's
just feel a little
clearly
bit of
untrue.
tension, and then they move on with their life, just like you flirt with people.
But you are
It's
talking
totally
about
fine.
sexual flirting, right? Because otherwise you'd say we can have friends, but you're talking about something different than friends. You're saying flirting and going on dates with people, right? That's obviously
flirting
is
and going on
implying sexuality. You're not going out with your friends. You're flirting with somebody.
That's what
Okay,
flirting is.
so
but
you're
you were
looking
making
for
it sound like
emotional
there's
So you're looking for
now
emotional
we're adding a
intimacy
whole other
outside
thing.
of your marriage.
Okay, if you think that flirting leads to emotional intimacy, again, it might just be because
It
you're
absolutely
young. But
does.
there are lots of people who flirt with each other who don't become emotionally connected.
Wait,
Okay,
Grace,
then
how
why are
do
you-
you
then
Grace, how
why
do you
are you
reconcile with
doing
the fact that you flirt with everybody?
Why are you doing it then? No, I agree. I agreed with her that it's not always sexual, but I'm saying what she's doing is implying sexual interest. But why do you do it then if you don't want emotional
We don't do
intimacy?
it anymore. We don't do it anymore.
Why did you?
Of
Why
course,
did you?
Because
I'm
we
stuck in
decided
here
that it
for
was
that
worth
all
trying to
that
figure out
time.
What we were comfortable with. Nick went on one date. We decided that
Looking
we
for
weren't
iron,
comfortable with it,
and then
we
there's
ended it.
iron right
We
there.
were like,
But
you
what
know
is a
what? It's
date?
gonna be
What is
really
a date to you guys in an open relationship? What does a date mean?
A date means to us what it means to everyone else, but there was
Mm-hmm.
strict
Ooh,
rules
I
around
want that
kissing
too.
and sex.
It's a good burn.
So just to talk with somebody. So there's no sex involved. It's just emotionally getting to know somebody else.
No, more like just flirting with each other. I don't think they like sat down and they're like, here are my biggest insecurities. Like it was a first date. I don't know if you've been on many first dates. It's pretty surface level.
Did you go
But
on
then what
any
did you
dates,
want
Erudite?
out of that?
I did not.
What did you want out of that?
We wanted to see how we would feel about it.
How would you feel about what? What does a date and
By the way,
flirting imply?
whose idea
going
was
on a
it
date.
to open
Sexual
that
interest in
relationship,
somebody
by the way?
else.
Both
Whose
of ours.
idea
We
was
talked
it?
about it together. Both of
And
ours.
so
We talked
and
about
so
it together.
he went on a date with a chick. And then how many dates? Just one?
Just one.
Just one. And then while he was on this date, were you on a dating website yourself?
At that point, I was still experimenting.
So yes.
No, Kyle, you're freezing a little bit.
Oh,
Okay,
Michelle, she's good. Okay, can you repeat that for me? I was asking if you were on a dating website yourself.
Yeah, I was on Tinder for a little bit.
You're on Tinder, right? So you opened up your marriage, your husband went on dates, and you went on Tinder, and you think that I'm heretical because I think that that's against Christian ethics. I just want you to say that out loud.
No, I think you're heretical because you're an Eastern Orthodox slimy fuck who chain smokes, is hateful, and is drunk all the
get
time.
it. I
That's
get it.
why I
but-
think you're heretical.
Yeah. So then, is what you did according to Christian ethics or
Andrew,
not?
Hold on, I'm gonna brand. It is possible that what we did was considered a sin. That's why we prayed about it, experimented, and then we later decided to stop it. The issue is, Andrew, in my case, we were prayerful, we were cautious, we went into it, and we immediately stopped it. In your case, you chain smoke and drink constantly,
Tell
and
me
then
why
point
chain
at everyone
smoking's a
else's
sin.
plank.
Yeah. Tell me why chain smoking.
Well, why,
is
if
a
you
sin?
had a healthy marriage,
I
would you
will
want?
just
Why
open
would
the
you want to
Bible and
express
find
Help
sexual
me,
interest?
dumbass. Help me.
sources.
Give me an argument.
Why
Give me
would
a
you want to
fucking
express
argument. I
interest in
just gave you. I gave you many. Give me a
Why
single
is
argument.
smoking sinful?
Yeah. Google it. Google it. Give me anything.
You're polluting the
Erudite, if you
temple,
had
which
a
is
healthy
sanctified by the
if you had a
reception of Christ.
You're a Mormon now?
In
Are you a
Orthodox
Mormon?
cultures, various derogatory terms have developed. In Orthodoxy, various derogatory terms have developed to describe smoking, such as the incense of Satan. Are you putting out the incense?
You
of
mean like the
Satan,
incense that are
Andrew?
used in the church? This is a conflation, by the way.
Is the incense of Satan what you're using
The
in your
official
Orthodox
stance
church?
on
That
from
makes so much
the
sense.
official stance of the single Orthodox Church is not that smoking is sinful. Erudite.
Yeah,
Sorry to be the
having
one.
an addiction,
Sorry to be
having an
bearer
addiction
of bad
means
news.
that you're serving your addiction, not your God.
No,
which is
that's not
typically
even what that
considered
means.
sinful.
That's
Yes,
not
it
even what
is.
that means. No,
Are you
it's
saying
not.
you don't have an addiction to nicotine, Andrew?
Even if I did
Do you
or
have
I
an addiction
didn't,
to
that doesn't
nicotine, Andrew, or are
necessarily
you
mean it's
weaseling
sinful.
away?
Tell me
Wait,
why it would
Andrew,
be a
hold on.
sin.
Do you have an addiction to nicotine,
Yeah.
Andrew?
Yes.
Oh,
Tell me why
okay,
that's a
so
sin.
you do
Tell me
have
why
an
it's a
addiction.
sin. Tell me why
Because
it's a
if you have
sin.
an addiction, that means that you're
Yeah,
not serving God,
yeah.
you're serving an addiction. That means that there's a greater God
Where?
before
Show
you.
me anywhere inside of your fucking crazy interpretation of the Bible where
Sure,
having
the
an
golden
addiction.
calf is a great example where you're not supposed to. There's multiple
Okay, hold on. I feel like
Wait,
if
the golden
any of us
calf?
was using a reasonable interpretation of the Bible, having addictions to bad substances that put your health in poor standing is probably always going to be a bad thing. Or, Andrew, do you think smoking weed is okay?
Yeah, for the most part.
Do you think doing heroin is okay?
Heroin.
No, I think heroin is different.
Okay, can you tell me what is the difference between heroin and smoking cigarettes?
Heroin's a psychoactive.
Yeah, so when you're talking about nicotine specifically, especially, which is the addictive quality of cigarettes, not even
Hold on.
hold on,
Nothing.
hold on,
wait,
I'll let you ask, I'll let you finish, but let me finish.
Wait, you're answering a question I was asking. No one here is asking a question about nicotine. I don't think anybody brought up nicotine ever. We're talking about smoking cigarettes. That's what you do. You don't take a pill, you don't have a patch, you smoke a cigarette. So what's the difference like smoking a cigarette and doing heroin, like biblically? And I'm not asking for passages, just in terms of general understanding of how God would want us to live our lives.
So when you're talking about the distinction, you're talking about the distinction of mind-altering devices, which would open you up to what's called.
Shut up, Erudite! I cannot stand her stupid ass.
It's not only the coke.
She lives in complete heresy and blasphemy, and
drunk on wine is the debauchery.
goes after other Christians. It's crazy.
Stop talking, so I can answer the question, Erudite. Yeah, I know. Just you know what? Hey, go get yourself another dating website. You know, go put yourself on Tinder again. Genius. That's the Christian way. But anyway, back to this. When you're talking about mind-altering devices like psychedelics or like over drunkenness or heroin or things like this, which are it becomes a dependency, and you begin to focus on the mind-altering portion of this. You open yourself up to what's called the logisme and demonic influence. There's a distinction.
There an issue with drinking because it
so
has
sin, hang on, let me finish, Erudite. Sin is a process, just like redemption is a process. These are processes. Being saved is a process. It's not just an action.
Well, I don't understand how that answered anything at all.
It's nothing. He's literally just doing
what were you confused? Tell me what you were confused about.
Okay, Catholic, would you agree with this?
When we say mind altering, there's a lot of things in life that are altering the mind. If we talk about like a psychoactive or psychedelic substance, right? Alcohol, nicotine,
caffeine.
Caffeine. These are like psychoactive substances. They have an impact on the mind. I don't know how coffee or nicotine doesn't open you up for the demonic influences, but like marijuana. And also,
you do MDMA to look cool to your fans. Okay, nobody's gonna listen to you. I want to ask you, why did you and Nick decide that dating wasn't a good idea?
Why did you decide that dating your dad was a good idea?
Wait, Destiny hasn't talked.
He made that decision for her, to be fair.
Let's let him finish his chain of questions, and then you can go. Okay, go ahead, Destiny.
Yeah, I'm just curious how we decide that some mind-altering things, and if you want to say, well, psychoactive things like nicotine and caffeine and alcohol, that's different than psychedelic things, like LSD or mushrooms, which is fine. They are different. But then what about things like opioids? My understanding is I don't believe you hallucinate when you do like an opiate.
It's not about hallucination. It's not about hallucination at all. It's about a pattern of behavior with mind-altering substances which would make you distinctly open to the presence of the demonic. So if you're asking, for instance, let's say you had two guys and they both drank coffee, right? One of them drank it, and the caffeine made their mind a little bit sharper, or it helped them wake up. So all it did was enhance what was ordinarily there, okay, in a slight variation. But you had another guy who drank caffeine and coffee, and instead they saw shit when they drank it. For whatever reason, they had some caffeine allergy or some bizarre shit. Then we would say that the caffeine in this particular instance for the one individual, and this is all denominations everywhere, would be bad and is probably opening you up to something bad, whereas everybody else who drinks it, who doesn't have that reaction, we can normatively say it's not problematic.
So
I guess that's interesting. I've never, usually when it comes to just for my barely whatever as a Catholic, the idea that like a individual person with themselves
Catholics believe this too.
If the thing they were, I've never in my life have I ever heard a Catholic justification for smoking or drinking. Even the drinking one was one that our preachers usually had to talk around because you consume wine.
Well, what did they say about fast food?
Catholic justification, alcohol.
Hang on. What did the Catholics? Grace, let me finish my exchange. I've let you talk plenty. Give me a second. What did they say about fast food?
Yes. I imagine that they would also say you probably have some kind of obligation to take care of your health as well.
Yeah, but what did they say to you specifically about fast food? Did they tell you if you got McDonald's, it was a mortal sin?
Probably not, but because there's like a moderating way that you can consume.
Are in line. They're saying that if you were a person, let's say, who went every day and ate McDonald's for lunch, do you think that the Catholic priest would tell you that you're engaging in sinful behavior?
Probably not, but McDonald's food is a kind of thing, which is food that you eat, which is okay. Cigarettes are
and this is a kind of thing which you smoke.
Yeah, that you should abstain from probably completely. There's no compelling reason. Because it's a substance that you're using to cope with your body because you're
Yeah, but
unable to
you're
have a
eating
good relationship with
poisonous
God. You're
food.
unable to meditate on life. You're unable to focus on your problems.
Particularly
Like,
when you're
You're not
what do you mean?
unable
It's
to do
literally.
any of those
No,
things.
It is.
no,
It is.
Destiny,
By
Nicotine is a
definition.
mild
any
stimulant.
of
It's
those
a
things.
mild
I like how
stimulant.
they're finding this while they're chain smoking their cigarettes.
It
No,
is.
you're
It's
not-
fine. It's not
But
necessarily
I
a
don't
sin.
have a
You're not
problem. I don't have a
unable
problem
to
with you
do
guys
any of the
having
things that
addiction.
Destiny just said
Just
you're
to be
unable to do
clear,
when you smoke.
just
That's
so you guys
ridiculous.
know, as a good Christian, you guys get to go on your journey. You guys can do whatever you would like. It's between you and God at the end of the day. I'm not interested in pointing to the speck in your eye because I'm more concerned with the plank in mine. If you guys want to go off and do some like heretical shit of fixating on your brother's sins and fixating on pointing out all of their flaws while taking care of none of yours, you're welcome to do that. But that's you walking
I
not
know,
in
we
line
get the
with
code,
Christ.
Well,
but
you're
I
the
want
one
to
who
back
said you
to
had
that
no, but you made a claim that you had a great healthy relationship, and then
I
Andrew
do.
pointed out that you considered an open marriage with flirting
And
and,
then we
dating.
stopped. Yeah.
Okay,
To be
why did you
clear,
stop?
initially,
Why
hold on.
did you
Also, to
stop?
be clear,
Why
wait,
did you
just
stop?
to be clear, you can grill all you want. But I don't believe she claimed that she had a great healthy relationship. I believe the initial question was, do you think people would want the relationship that you have? That was the
She
initial
said
question.
Nick and I have an amazing healthy relationship.
In response to what you in response to what you just said, right? So I'm just saying that was the context for this. It wasn't like brought up out of nowhere. It was because you asked, do you think anybody would want your relationship? And to my
Okay, yeah, and
understanding,
that was
they've
her
been
response.
together for
So
quite a
her
while.
relationship-
They've done decently. Like I think most people would be okay with their relationship. I don't think that's that far of a stretch given the average state of relationships as they exist today in the world. But
I don't think most people would be okay with somebody in their marriage, which is exclusive, suggesting that they date and flirt with other people.
I
That
think
doesn't make any
most
sense.
people,
You see marriage as an exclusive
most
thing, which
people,
everybody does.
most people, yeah, sees marriage as an exclusive thing. Meanwhile, the divorce rate is 50%. Good one, Grace.
Well, I know you
Your
don't,
family is
but
the
I mean,
contributing
come
thing
on,
of that.
that's not a
Your
real
family is, hey, listen, at the very least, I'll never have a daughter and replace my wife with her, okay? But thanks, all right? The problem is you're talking about who would prefer what style of relationship. Chances are, if you ask somebody, would you prefer a relationship where you can have a type of conversation about potentially changing the structure of your relationship with somebody you've been in a
You'll
relationship
never
for a
have
long
a daughter
time?
at all. You
People
have
are going
one kid
to
and you
prefer,
said he was a
people are
mistake.
going to prefer, Grace, cockroaches have children. It's not impressive to have kids. I know that you think so because
You
you're
won't
one
have
of like
another one because you
12.
hate life because you had one son and you said he was a mistake.
Wait. Let's not bring children into it. Hang on.
Not bring children. We already
He
brought one
brought
into the
me in as a
conversation. What do you
child. He
mean?
brought my father-daughter
Alex,
relationship.
you brought her in as a child. She's
fair
here.
game.
No. Let's not bring. Destiny's kid is very young. Let's not bring him into it.
That's fine. Listen, he's closer to age than she is to me, so I mean, it's basically the same shit. She might as well be 12 years old.
Cool with it, then feel free.
Yeah, I don't care. Yeah.
Okay, so Kyla claims to have a great relationship, even though they considered opening it and then closed it. Destiny has an open relationship. They're both married.
Yeah,
One
so
of them
my
is a kid
relationship
who
is a
claims he
great
was a mistake.
example of where two people who are mature can negotiate and talk about something that they think might be like possible to improve their relationship, and then later realize that it's not something that we like, and then later choke close it. It actually shows excellent communication and trusting each other. Whereas in the case of lots of Christian relationships, they just make as many restrictive rules as possible, and they fucking hope that by the time they're 25, they don't fucking hate each other.
Yeah, I know. It's
So
like
yeah, I prefer my relationship, but I also said, you don't have to have my relationship if you don't like to. But I'm pretty happy. Yeah.
You're clearly not. Look at yourself.
Ooh.
Prove it.
So is Destiny's relationship a healthy relationship?
Me and Erudite are the only two people here not chain smoking their way through their fucking life right now. You're literally 20 years
guys
old.
have any other content?
Grace.
I don't know. You claim we're the ones that aren't
Andrew's
right
got to
now.
pontificate and be like, guys, isn't this a debate? Are we really here to talk about my chain smoking? Are we here to talk about
keep freaking out. But Destiny, you missed a debate with a prominent person because you were too busy staying up late smoking methamphetamine. How in the fucking world could you say anything about us smoking cigarettes, dude? You missed a debate because you were smoking meth.
Number one, hold on. Number one,
dude.
Yeah, number one. Yeah, number one. Okay, I didn't smoke meth. I ate it. Okay, big difference. Number two.
What was I thinking?
I missed one. Yeah, true. I missed one conversation because I got the wrong drug. You're
Not
gonna
many
die.
conversations
You're gonna die
I've missed from
15 years
cigarettes.
early. Bro, how many family members have you lost to lung cancer? Because
Oh, do you know that the oldest person on planet Earth smokes?
It's
the
pretty,
oldest
that's
person
great.
on planet Earth.
Oh,
You're not
that's
the
true.
oldest
All
person on
medical
planet
science
Earth.
is garbage.
You know
Thank
what?
you,
How old is the oldest person on planet Earth? Because I bet he's done a lot of fucking cocaine and meth as well. If you want to go there, if you want to go find his drug history.
Prove it,
okay?
bro. Prove it.
Prove
Prove that the oldest person on Earth has done
Let me go find the
methamphetamine.
dude and quiz him, okay?
Yeah,
The
so
fact that
I
you
mean,
think that
just
doing
saying.
meth one time is worse for your body than huffing in fucking disgusting tar that not only destroys your own body, it leaves every single article of clothing and the walls of your house looking and smelling like shit. Also has a negative impact on everyone else
Gives
around
kids
you.
ear infections. Andrew with 5 children gives kids
Oh,
Or ear
secondhand smoke.
infections and
Secondhand
damages
smoke
their
is
ears.
way overrated. Way overrated.
Oh,
Leslie,
you know what?
you
You're right.
do
The medical
hard
profession
drugs
is
to
garbage.
say that you're
Throw
a
it
cool
out.
guy to your viewers, okay? Me and Andrew smoking doesn't have any. You have no foot to stand on.
I have 2 feet to stand on, actually. And also, listen.
Is this
I
a
do
debate about
drugs.
smoking? Is this a
I
debate
do
about smoking?
drugs.
I thought
Oh,
we were
now
talking
we're
about
worried
healthy-
about the content.
I thought we were talking about what healthy
Listen,
relationships
I do
are.
drugs because I think
We
drugs
have
are
2
fun.
married
You do
people
drugs
here
because
who
you're
have
trying to be
open
the perfect
relationships.
doppelganger for your dad. Okay, there's a difference between you and me. Thank you. Don't
Also,
project
I'm
your
sorry.
insecurities on me.
You keep bringing up my dad. I smoke because of stress.
Grace, are you Catholic?
Yes.
Is Destiny Catholic?
No. Thank
Then
God.
maybe you should probably not put your religious predilections on other people. In fact, I'm pretty sure the Pope talks about that.
It has nothing to do with religion, Kyla. Stop preaching. You're not going to mommy me. It has nothing to do with fucking religion. It has nothing to do with
Can I
religion.
go, Alex, or do I just get cut off?
Yeah, go ahead, Kyle. Go ahead.
The issue
You're saying I'm making a religious
the Pope has
debate.
been. Yes,
Wait,
you are
wait,
making a
Grace,
religious.
let her finish, and then you can respond, and I'll give you uninterrupted time. Okay, go ahead, Kyle.
The Pope has been pretty clear, actually, that it's really important to not put your religious predilections onto secular people. In fact, that's like largely condemned within the Bible regularly, that you don't put your religious prescriptions on other people. Now, I know you guys are in this weird copium level.
It's really important. It's really important in the Bible.
Hang on.
You're going to have to mute her. I don't know if she can.
Stop. You gotta let her finish.
Talk normally.
I'll give you uninterrupted time to respond. Just let her finish. Go ahead.
Sorry, yeah, I'll chain smoke instead so that I can deepen my voice and get that nice timbre going on. All right. I'll talk to you
Just
for a
don't
second.
use your mommy voice.
If I use my daddy voice, will that be better for you?
No, just use your regular voice. I just pretend.
Didn't want to answer that one, hey? All right. Well,
no, I answered no.
Okay, go.
Difference is
there anything you want to
guys
say?
agreed that meth and heroin would be not Christian, and you're going at Destiny for taking meth. It doesn't matter. He's not fucking Christian. It literally doesn't matter at all.
I didn't want to have a fucking debate about Christianity, Kyla. I'm asking you about relationships. I'm not arguing from a religious perspective. I'm saying you and Destiny both considered opening your marriages. You're both married. You think marriage has some value because you chose to do that with another person. You both considered opening it. Destiny has an open marriage and you don't. So obviously you disagree on something. So what was the difference?
Preference.
Well,
You can't just say, well, all subjective. Relationships are different for different people.
I'm
Give me a
married.
break.
Yeah, I'm married to Nick, and he's married to Kyla, whereas Steven is married to Melina, and Melina's married to Steven. So the dynamics between these relationships look a little bit differently as a result of it. I'm not Swedish.
You two claim like you know way more about relationships than me, right? You've got it all fucking together. Where meanwhile, your relationship with your husband is so fucking like it leaves you lacking so much. You're going on dates with other men to
In
like
fact, he
flirt with
actually
them
went
to
on a
get
date with
emotional
somebody
intimacy.
else. I didn't go on a date with anybody.
Okay, so you're such a poor wife that he wants to date other women. Meanwhile, Destiny down here is getting cucked every other night.
Nick isn't
You
getting,
two are like you got into
I don't know.
marriage. What the fuck are you fucking talking about?
We can't decide.
I'll
Nick
just
is both a
quickly-
beta
rules.
and an
If
alpha.
there's no rules, then who are you to
Amazing.
say what's a good relationship and what's not? You said you have a healthy relationship. Apparently, should be based on some objective factors. No.
Damn.
And now everything's subjective. There are no objective factors.
I just want to say, as a guy, if you fuck other girls, doesn't mean that you don't love your girlfriend.
Wow.
You have to say that, Alex. Okay, your girlfriend's listening.
She probably is listening. She's a fan of like at least 50% of the people on this panel, so she's very much listening. But she knows it's true. Anyway, keep going.
Oh, sorry, Grace. Yes, continue to tell me about my marriage.
Kyla, you talk about relationships
rapt
all the
attention.
time. You said that you have a great
Why do I keep
relationship, and the
ending up back
relationship
in
is
this
marriage
place?
between you and Nick. So, are there objective factors that determine whether something is a great, healthy relationship, or are there not? Because you talk about relationships all the time. You say that my relationships with people in my family, which is not marriage, okay, but it's a similar thing. You
That's true,
say,
it's not marriage.
right. So you don't have to make your snarky little fucking jokes. But you say that they are unhealthy. You have objective factors that you say my relationships don't hold up to. So why can't I ask you about you? But when I ask you, you say, well, everybody's relationship with everybody else is subjective. And there's no morality. How dare you judge me on my marriage? It has to be one or the other.
Would you
Miss
agree?
Therapist, Miss I have a degree.
Wait,
You
Grace,
can't,
I'm
you can't give
not.
a
Grace,
basic consistency there.
I'm gonna help you communicate your point a little bit. So, Kyla, would you agree there are some factors which are objective and some factors that are subjective when it comes to relationships?
Absolutely. They're
Okay, so
definitely markers of health in a relationship.
So maybe you can expand on the ones that you think are objective.
Sure. So I think some markers of health in a relationship is that when you guys have disagreements and fights, you can resolve it pretty quickly. I also think that overall relationships should be causing both people to trend towards happiness. They should be able to attend work better, right? You shouldn't see that the relationship is directly contributing to like negative mental health outcomes. I would say by and large, my relationship has been fantastic for positive health outcomes. I think other markers of like relationship success would be things like, for example, how well we can maintain outside relationships with friends and have like a support network. Like, and I have a very, very large support network. We maintain friendships very well with friends, and we have a whole friends and family network that supports our marriage as well.
But these are Kylie, these are all things that would also apply to just regular friendships. There's a difference here, which is sexual exclusivity. That's what marriage is all about.
Sex
you don't
life as
mention
well.
that at
I
all.
would say a healthy
no wonder
relationship.
Nick wanted to flirt with other women. You see marriage as asexual, apparently. You don't mention it once. That's literally the whole.
How did I not think of that? Oh my!
We have great
To be fair, she just started talking. She just made one point. I think she was going to make multiple points.
Sex life is another good marker, right? In general, you want to be having sex. I would say a healthy relationship on average should have like 3 to 4 times sex per week, but again, that's going to flex a fair bit based on like the varying libidos of the couple. I would also say there's kind of that Gottman principle of ratio. You want like 5 positive interactions for every 2 negative, ideally. Also, a healthy relationship, when a partner does a bid, you tend to have a response to it. I think when you see bids in response, that's another marker of a healthy relationship. Another healthy marker of a relationship is that you don't eye roll or like condemn or like undercut your partner. That doesn't tend to happen in our relationship. We're very like empathetic towards each other. So there's a whole bunch of things that you can look at as a marker of healthy relationship. Here's another great stat for why my relationship is healthy. Most relationships that go through a separation end, about 80%. My relationship actually came back together and is healthier than ever before. So you could actually argue based on that.
Because now he listens to you.
I'm fucking top performing, okay?
Now he listens to you and does the dishes.
Together. Well, you can assume that about my relationship, but you have no idea.
Okay, would you agree that the vast majority of people would see 2 people who are married opening up their relationship as a huge marker for a marriage that's in crisis?
Sure, yeah. I just would say in this case, it's not.
But you don't think there's any underlying factors in your marriage that would say, like, there's a problem here?
No, we expressly talked about that. We wanted to make sure that there was only, like, the drive of, like, interest in, like, improving our relationship and nothing about, like, compensatory. So that was expressly talked about.
How would flirting and dating with other people help a sexually exclusive relationship?
A whole bunch of ways. It gives you like greater access to like masculine and feminine energy. You get access to like parts of life that you don't really get in married life.
No, but you can get access to masculine and feminine energy from like being friends with people.
Okay, so
what was the impetus to date? Why would you
answer a question for me, Grace? I'm super curious. How is Nick both a beta cuck doing the dishes and an alpha Chad who convinced me into a one-sided open relationship? How are both of these things happening at the same time?
Well, it sounds to me like you're a cold, asexual mommy type. He got sick of it. He wanted to find somebody else who was a little bit more sexual, right? He's interested sexually. Then you guys separated. Then you dommed him. Now you're his mommy. He does the dishes for you, and he fucking listens to you when you tell him. That's what it sounds like happened. He gave up.
The opening happened after we came back together. So when he came back, he was the cuck.
That's even crazier.
Dishes for me, but then also was the Giga Chad who could convince me into a one-sided open relationship.
Well, Kyle, it's because he discovered my channel. That's the big.
That's what it is. He just got the tools to manipulate women. I was manipulated, but I caught it.
He took the PWF pill. I think this is actually an interesting thought experiment that I think is going to add to this conversation. Ask Kyle or Destiny, they think when of the plugs relationship was having a choose example of healthy or unhealthy on first glance.
They seem happy to me, but this is an extraordinary relationship. You're talking about 2 people that do pornography professionally and live their whole lives in the public eye. Like, that's a rough one. That relationship, that's always, even a perfectly monogamous Christian couple living that public a relationship is going to be really difficult. So I don't know. It's a hard one. I don't know either of them well enough to say.
What about you, Kyle?
I think that's a pretty good like interpretation. In general, like, would that be something I recommend for the average couple? No, but most couples aren't like famous podcasters who do porn professionally. So it's not something in general that would generalize well to the public. But yeah, I would say in general, if that was like a non-professional porn, that might be an issue, but
you don't feel though that like
Kyla, I gotta ask you.
Oh, okay, Andrew.
Within your Christian ethics, is it okay that they do public pornography?
Well, are they Christian?
I'm asking you.
Yeah, are they Christian? Yeah, I'm asking. I don't know. Maybe I don't know something about Adam. Are they?
They're not really.
No, I don't think so.
Oh, then I don't give a fuck what religious people do. I require them to follow concepts.
Okay, so just so there's no.
I try to follow the book.
So there's
I try to do what
okay,
Jesus does.
so there's no criteria for you, or like, can you
I
say
don't
that that's
put
immoral?
religious predilections
Yeah, can you
on
say that it's
non-religious people.
immoral or not?
Yeah, this is the problem. Every time you
No,
ask
it's
her a
not
question
immoral.
about something. Yeah.
Not for them,
Okay.
no.
Is
Wait,
anything
For
immoral?
you, what about for you?
Is anything immoral?
I'm not.
Wait, I have a different question.
Just
Anything
imagine
immoral,
your
Kyla?
practice
Shut
for-
up, Grace. I haven't talked at all. Kyla, is anything
Shut
immoral?
up, Grace. That's so fair.
Anything. What? What is immoral? What?
Things that utilitarian-wise, everyone would agree are probably
So,
immoral. Like,
so
for
your
example,
entire
murdering people,
ethical
doing harm.
system has nothing to do with Christianity. It has to do with secular
Bro,
utilitarian
you
ethics.
already admitted that God is utilitarian, so you agree with
It's
me.
never happened.
You did.
Tell me when.
In this conversation, you agreed
When?
that God is
Well,
utilitarian.
you just
said
made that up in your crazy
you said that
brain.
it's all about extents and stretches, and that like as things like change over time, like when it comes to like
That
things
this
like drugs
never
and drug
occurred.
use, that it changes.
Literally
yeah, like
never
drug use
occurred.
reflects its subjective.
You just made the whole thing up in your brain. I've never said anything about God being a utilitarian. That's one. Two, I want to ask
implied
you,
it, of course.
are you saying
And
that
you
you
did.
don't
You just
derive your morality from Christianity? You derive it from utilitarian ethics, secular ethics?
For society, for other people, for the most part, for myself, I believe that Christians committing sin is immoral. But if you're not a Christian, I still
Then you
think
can't
you
do
can
any
immoral
wrong?
things. No. Do you want me to answer? Or do you want to just
Yes.
keep building your narrative?
I do want you to answer.
Do you want to
yes.
listen? Okay.
I'm
do you want me to
listening.
use my daddy voice for you too?
Yeah,
I can do
use whatever voice you think that can answer the question.
the daddy voice. So the answer to the
It's more
question
butch.
Oh my god.
Yes, it is more butch. That's true. Good job. Basically, what I said is that drugs are fine, sex is fine. In the case of society, I tend to use a utilitarian frame model because for Christians, there's a different code of ethics that they're required to live by than non-religious people. This
It's
is very
not.
standard in most religious practices. You don't
That's
put your religious
ridiculous.
predilections on other people. I'm not a fucking Muslim. I don't need to have a political system based out of my religion.
Fair enough. So from your perspective, though, as a Christian, is what they're doing immoral?
They're not Christian.
That's not my question. From your perspective as a Christian, following the ethics you do, you still know what's moral and immoral, informed by your Christianity, is what
No.
they're doing immoral.
No, of course not.
It's not. It's not
No.
immoral that they're porn stars on the internet.
It's not.
What is immoral for Christians?
What the fuck?
For Christians,
I've never
committing
heard
sin is immoral.
anything that insane, literally, in my whole life ever.
Okay, as long as you say it loud enough. Do you want to say that you've won too, Andrew? I think
I have one. That was
Christian
the
moral
stupidest
teaching
thing
is
I've ever
got it.
heard.
We get the full thing going, debating
If an atheist kills somebody, does that make it not immoral because they don't believe
It's
in
not
God?
moral from a Christian.
No,
from
I
her
would say that
standpoint.
atheists killing people is immoral. I already said that there are
Okay,
things
but
that
they
are
don't believe in
Oh,
the
I'm
Christian.
fucked.
What are you
Wait.
talking
Okay, hold
about?
on. I will
What?
slow down for the class. You guys can keep up. I believe in you. I do. I have already explicitly said there are certain
Come on in.
concepts that I would say for Christians
Come on in.
are
I'm on fire. I'll
different
still
than
whoop your ass,
secular
boy.
people. There are obviously things that secular people do.
Which is why we're asking from your purview,
Right.
from your
My
ethical
purview.
system, from your
Yes, my
from not so
ethical system.
erudite's ethical
Yes.
system.
Yes.
Yes,
I
yes.
would say that if you're not a Christian, I wouldn't say that you're doing something immoral by doing
That's
Christian
so
sin
stupid.
because
That's
you're not
so
a Christian.
fucking dumb.
So why is
basically
murder
the father
wrong?
Adam.
So why is murder wrong from a secular standpoint then, erudite?
Okay, if you want to go into utilitarianism, because in a society where murder is okay, it leads to harm for everyone. It seems to lead to a society that is worse if everyone thinks that murder is just okay. A society is better and reduces harm when you prohibit murder and you punish it.
So you hold two separate ethical value structures, one for yourself and one for society. How do you know which one is wrong?
Because Gentiles don't have
That's
to
so
improve
stupid.
Christian morals.
Okay, I'm not asking what Gentiles must do. I'm asking you as a Christian, how do you know Gentiles are incorrect and immoral if they're doing these things? How do you know that?
I use
What would
utilitarian
inform you?
framework.
What would
Utilitarian
inform?
framework.
Why would
now we got
would
into the
you-
meta ethics.
Why would utilitarianism? Why would utilitarianism be correct?
Sure, we can get into the fundamental axiom. My fundamental axiom as
You can't hold two contrary sets of beliefs. That's insane.
They aren't contrary sets of
They
beliefs.
are
Please
contrary
fully
sets of
recognize
beliefs.
that. They're not contrary. I understand that you can't keep up and comprehend this, but they
Right,
are
but
not complementary.
Freudian slip there. They're not
If
complementary.
If they're not contrary,
They're contrary.
Answer this question if they're not contrary.
No, I'm going to
Utilitarian
continue answering the
standpoint,
previous question rather
from
than you just Rolodexing
utilitarian
out questions.
standpoint,
I will
from
just keep talking
I just want to finish this point
I will
and I'll let
just
you
keep
know.
talking. I'm I'm not going to because
I
still
just
haven't
want you to
answered
answer
your
one
previous
question, and then I'll let you
I'm
talk
going
as much
to
as you
answer
want.
your previous question.
Okay, fine.
Then you
I won't
can
forget.
First,
I'm not going to forget, but go ahead. I won't forget.
Okay.
Go ahead.
My Christian ethics are over my national contractual ethics for myself. However, part of my Christian ethics personally is to not hold secular people to my Christian ethics because they are not
That's so
Christian.
ridiculous.
So if society imposed some sort of demand on me that was against my Christian ethics, I would disobey society. If society made it a law that I had to do something that I thought was heretical to my faith, I would disobey society. Do you understand this?
So let me ask you, okay, got it. So let me ask you this question. Can secular ethics and your ethics, at the same exact time, if secular ethics claims that pornography is moral, and your ethics claim that pornography is immoral, are those compatible ethical systems?
I don't. First of all, you're assuming a bunch about my claims about ethics around pornography.
Just answer my question.
Well, I can't answer your question.
You can't answer it because you know
hold
the
on.
answer.
I'm not letting you do this. The
Answer
reason
the
I can't
fucking
answer it,
question.
the reason I can't answer this question specifically, Andrew, is because you're doing what you always do in every debate, which is
winning.
bad faith. You're
Winning.
begging the question.
Yeah, everybody who wins the debate is bad faith.
Are you going to let me talk, Andrew? Or you're just going to keep saying,
Answer the
I'm
question.
winning until people believe you.
Stop. Let's let Kyla finish, and then you can.
Unbelievable.
These two things are compatible because it is fine for me, for thee, and not for me. That is compatible. Different people can have different ethical systems within utilitarian. They can have different things that are okay and not okay and still work within my framework. I would say it is okay for thee,
That's
but
ridiculous.
not for me. For example, one thing that's not okay for me is like watching a whole bunch of like true crime and shit like that because it makes me super distrustful of other people. I would say in general,
you're talking about
it's
preference, not morality.
No. Let her finish, and then it's Andrew's turn to respond, and then Sue. Okay, go ahead.
In the case of all sorts of stuff, as you would probably agree, even you said it here. You already said this, Andrew. You said, in the case of, for example, Christians, you can chain smoke because it doesn't make you go crazy. But if you had a psychotic break and it led to you doing a whole bunch of bad stuff, that would be bad for them. So that's you saying, oh, it's fine for me, but not for thee in this case. I'm just doing the inverse of saying there are some things that I think are fine for other people that are not okay for me. That all works together.
Now I'm going to ask you this question again. Only one set of these moral preferences can be true. Only one of them can be true. So are your Christian ethics true, or are utilitarianism, if utilitarianism conflicts with your Christian ethics, knowing only one can be true by the laws of logic, which one's true?
I reject your premise and the way that you're posing the question.
Okay, then to show me the contradiction from which you reject my premise.
You're begging the question by again saying that my
No question begging.
Your question that you are begging is saying how do
That's
you
not
hold
question
two
begging,
contradictory?
you idiot.
Yes, it is.
Well, tell me what question begging is. You don't even know. Tell me what it is.
Hang on. Let's let her respond.
I tell you what it is. You accused me of it. Tell me what it is. Tell me what question begging is. Tell me what it is.
Wait, just let her respond. Go ahead.
Yeah, she's not going to answer that question either. Tell me what it is.
Bro, you do this thing in every fucking debate.
Not gonna do it.
Hold on. You ask 60,000 questions. You pivot and weasel away from everything.
No, I just asked you straight questions you won't answer.
Notice how you weaseled away from the conversation about your cigarette
Happy to have that
use?
conversation too, but you accused me of question begging.
Are you going to let me answer?
You accused me.
And building your narrative.
You can't accuse me of a fallacy, then not tell me the fallacy. Tell me the fallacy.
Yes, go ahead.
Okay. Can I take a stab at this? Okay. You can absolutely hold two different quote-unquote set of ethics. You're not holding contrary sets of ethics, though. You can understand is you can have a system of morals that stands in contradiction to the law. For instance, a Catholic might believe that it's immoral to consume pornography, but that doesn't necessarily mean that a Catholic would prescribe that it changes the law in the country that they're in, right? In a way, you could read this as a render unto Caesar. What? Hold on. No. It doesn't seem to be the argument because you're conflating the law and the morality. So when you ask somebody, do you consider it a sin when somebody does something else? Generally, what is or isn't a sin is something that you're concerned with, and you're concerned with other people in your faith. Personally, I've never been in the business of, or seen other Christians at least, maybe for Muslims it's different, maybe for Jews it's different, maybe for other people it's different, is trying to evaluate. I never in my life, I took 4 years of fucking Catholic high school, 8 years of Catholic grade school. Never once did we have a class we went through, what do Muslims do that's sinful? What do Jewish people do that's sinful? We've never done that before. We're concerned with what are sins in our society, the Christian church, the Catholic Church specifically. What does the Catechism say? What does your preacher say?
Yeah.
And
Okay,
that's where it
great,
starts and
but
stops.
repeat
So
my
the question,
argument.
hold on. Hold on. Stop.
You're arguing against a straw man.
No. You've traveled like 20,000 different acres.
I haven't traveled anywhere.
You
Repeat my
covered so much
argument
ground.
back
You
to
say
me.
it, it's true.
Okay, what is your okay?
Against
Sorry,
that.
hold on.
I just want a good faith debate.
I'm
Tell me my
trying to
argument.
answer. You don't
And
want a good
tell
debate
me
because you're
my
trying to steamroll
argument.
questions. I can talk just as much as you want, okay? I'm just trying to lay down some
Tell
very
me my
basic.
argument, Destiny.
It sounds like your argument was it is impossible for a person to have one set of ethics and not condemn another person in society
No,
for an
that's
action.
not my argument. My
Hold
argument.
on, hold on. I'm
Right.
gonna leave. Alex, make him shut the fuck up for 2 seconds, okay? Holy
Yeah,
shit.
okay.
Let me
Or else it's
finish.
gonna
Okay,
run.
this was your argument, unless you're having an episode, in which case go get some antipsychotics. Your argument, because your questions to Kyla were, how can you believe that this thing is okay in society when you personally don't believe it? It seems to be a contradiction that you're saying society
That's
can have
not my
one set of ethics. Shut the fuck up, you retarded fuck. Let me
Then
finish my fucking
tell me
statement.
my argument, you
Tell me
don't
again.
care,
I can't even
gremlin.
finish a fucking sentence.
What are you gonna do?
One sentence.
What are you gonna do,
literally
Rudd?
restating.
I'm gonna mute all of you guys. Okay, let's just go one at a time. Let's let Destiny finish this point, then you can respond to Andrew.
Keep Andrew muted because he cannot
Let me just
stop doing
Jesus
this
Christ, I
bad
can't even finish a single fucking statement. Okay,
Okay, go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead.
so
Destiny.
Andrew's line of questioning was trying to expose that Kyla had an inability to condemn anybody for sin because it seemed like she held the double standard that society could have one set of ethics and she can have a personal one, which is why Andrew was asking questions like, oh, well, do you think that this lifestyle is sinful? And then Kyla would say, well, no, I don't think so for me. Well, what about for other people? I don't judge Christians. That's why he went down the line of questioning of, is murder wrong? Is anything wrong? Because it seems like under your current system, whatever you do, you're unable to fundamentally say any particular action is wrong. And then Kyla tried to say something about utilitarianism, and he said, well, how do you hold contrary sets of ethics? That was what the entire argument was. In my opinion, I think the reason why you're running into such a difficult to answer question here is because you're conflating what is the law or what is legally permissible
No, he's
with what is
not.
ethical. No, the Andrew's gonna say, no, I was talking about ethics the whole time.
It
But
is.
that's not truly what we're talking about, because the idea, this is where I go into my personal opinion, the idea that as a Christian, you could
room
condemn
is slow as
somebody
fuck.
else for not following your Christian ethics, that's just a very bizarre statement to me. In my personal opinion, from how I learned Christianity or Catholicism, usually when you're criticizing other people's inability to hold to the Ten Commandments, the Beatitudes, whatever set of ethics we're talking about in terms of Christianity, you're saying things like God commands us to do this, God commands you to do that. These are the Beatitudes, these are the commandments, these are what the priest says, blah 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 blah. So you're usually compelling somebody within a faith. So it's a very difficult question to ask from a religious point of view: is how do you condemn somebody else's morals that is outside of your faith? All you can do at that point is appeal to the law, and your ethics probably don't have to be exactly matching with what the law is. For example, in the case of smoking cigarettes or pornography. That's my thing. Okay.
Okay, now
Wait, hello?
Andrew.
What just happened?
So hang on, right? Because Alex muted me again. But that wasn't my question. It wasn't my argument, which is why I asked you in good faith to repeat my argument back to me. That way we could have the productive conversation. But what I asked specifically is, can you hold two different sets of moral values, and both of them can be true at the same exact time if they conflict with each other? Meaning,
You just restated what I just said.
Stop, because you didn't answer this question. You didn't answer. You spurred and talked a lot, but you actually didn't answer this question. The question is, if one conflicting moral value structure says that it's okay to murder and another one does not, and you're a Christian, say it's not okay to murder, and you're, let's say, a utilitarian who does, only one of those can be true. Yes or no, Destiny?
Yes. The problem,
Yes.
as I restated, the problem was you're not holding, when we talk about murder, right? We're not really interested societally in the moral condemnation of murder. What we're really looking for is, what is the law? Christians don't compel people to not murder necessarily, societally speaking, another person, because it's what God commands. You say it's because this is illegal. When we're talking about what the law is going to be different than your particular moral thing. Now, there's going to be a lot in Christianity where your morals actually map onto the law. Your morals in Christianity are going to map onto things that are very similar to the law. For instance, don't steal.
There could be overlap. I agree.
Don't steal.
There could be overlap.
Don't steal, and don't kill. Those are two things. However, it's also a Christian commandment not to be adulterous. That's actually not something that's illegal in the United States. Just because it's not illegal in the U.S. and just because it is illegal in the Christian world.
Yes. What are you talking about? Yes, of course.
How is it?
Of course it is.
Tell me how it's not.
Because in society, what we're talking about is what is the law.
Because morality is not determined by the law.
No, you can't, and I am. I've been more faith in this.
I'm gonna go out drinking tonight. I need some friends here. I need to get the fuck out of here. I'm going crazy. Alex, what are you
Answer my
doing tonight?
question, Destiny. How's it not a conflict?
I just told you, because what you're analyzing societally is the law. We don't have a
That's his
set of
point.
ethics that we compel people to follow using some kind of like third-party punishment. We don't do that. We have the law.
That still
It just
wouldn't
means,
mean that
Andrew,
there's
you've
no
already said this.
affirmative
You've already said this. You've already
Stop.
said this. You've already agreed to this. You've already agreed to this.
Let's let Andrew respond.
I know you want to spurg, but here's the thing. That really has nothing to do with whether or not these are contradictory or contradictions to each other. The ethical systems, whether or not secularism legalizes
Oh,
behavior
okay, it's
Christians don't
Sky
believe
Okay,
it,
I thought that was
only
found in the
one
nether.
of those
Okay.
systems can be true. So when I ask you if you're a Christian, do you follow Christian ethics?
Well,
And you
that
say
actually
yes,
will not be hard.
this means that you follow this format for an ethical system based on your religion. What secularists believe is going to necessarily, if it conflicts with that, be immoral. Tell me how that's not true.
Because a secular society is the society itself is not generally in the business. The state is not in the business of what's determining what is moral or immoral. It's just determining legality. The state is agnostic on the truth. It doesn't make a statement about the truth there.
That has nothing to do with it.
Hold on. Wait. You didn't respond to what I said. You just said that
because it's irrelevant. It's erroneous.
I agree.
It doesn't mean
question
it has
is
nothing to do with
irrelevant.
my question.
Your question is irrelevant. You're asking.
How is my question irrelevant? It's the only question.
You're trying to ask. You're trying to pretend that there are two conflicting set of ethics. The reason why you're confused is because there's not. There's a set of ethics, and then there's the law. These things will conflict sometimes. It's not a legal.
The law is a reflection of ethics. It's a reflection of society's ethics. Yes, it is.
No, it's not. You said only
based on.
Grace, shut up. You said only one can be true.
No.
You said that.
I said if there are two conflicting sets of ethics, generally one can be true. But
only
in society,
one can be true.
It's not a set of ethics. It's the law.
No, it's not just the law. Law doesn't even necessarily have anything to do with ethics.
I'm sorry. In society, where does the government tell me? Where are my list of things that are moral or immoral in the United States of America?
They actually do. They draw on this very heavily, especially from the Bible, which the axiomatic for the entire United States
When you finish this
Constitution.
ramble, I'm going to restate the same question. Go ahead.
Okay. Well, the entire axiomatic principle of the United States Constitution is that all men are created equal. That is, well, the Declaration of Independence, right? That's axiomatic. So the thing is that if you're gonna state these things and you're gonna say, hey, listen, if you have two conflicting sets of values, they can both have overlap. I would agree, but only one can be true is my point. And so if only one is true and you're a Christian, how can you follow the other one and say it's not immoral? That makes no sense, bro.
Okay, I'm restating the question. Where do I find my set of ethics from the United States government?
The Declaration.
No, that's retarded.
Declaration of Independence isn't even a
I'll be right back. I gotta go pee.
No, that's where natural law. Natural law. That's where we get our ethics from. We hold.
I'm asking you, Andrew. No, don't mute Andrew. Andrew, I'm asking you, where do I get my set of ethics from in the United States government? Where do I find it? Just let me look it up online.
Natural law.
Is it?
It
Do
comes
I go to
from
the
natural law. Natural law. Natural law ethics. Natural law ethics.
Hang on. Let's let Andrew answer the question.
Okay, so
wait, Alex, to be clear, just this is my question. Okay, very clear. We have the United States of America. We've got .gov websites. Where do I go to find the set of ethics that I need to follow in the United States?
In a secular society, the ethics are drawn from whatever the secularists broadly agree the ethics are.
Says who?
How else could it work?
How else does it work? How it works is exactly how it works today. Everybody has their own set of ethics. The only thing that binds us is the law.
That's what I
it.
just
said. But the law
so
is based on
I literally just
you
said that. I just said that.
Then that's fine. Then there's no conflict, Andrew. We solved everything. No,
there
is
a
conflict?
So I'm going to tell you again
based on a set of ethics.
because you have diverted. Shut up, Grace. Because you have diverted multiple times.
No, you guys can't just keep telling me not to talk.
Well, but let us finish. Let you and Erudite
You've been going.
You want to be dominated. You want them to tell you to shut up.
You love it.
So anyway,
it's turning you on every time he tells you to shut up. You
so
stupid
no, because you're wrong. You're wrong.
You're lying. You're lying, woman.
Stupid, Greg. You're so dumb and submissive.
You don't think laws are based in ethics? You don't think American legal tradition is based in natural law? We hold these truths to be self-evident.
You
you're
little
Catholic.
breathable
You know,
woman. You're so stupid and
do
dumb.
you know what natural law is? You're Catholic. Do you know what natural law is?
You're not going far enough. You gotta go 5 levels further.
I'm not letting you get away with saying that laws are not based on a set of ethics
you
that
need to
comes
be
from
in the
natural
kitchen
law.
cooking right now.
Violating by stopping at a stop sign, Grace.
This is going to be so bad. That's me. Everyone's going to weaponize this against you.
What ethics are you violating by not stopping at a stop sign?
That's not a.
You're
law.
not violating an ethic there. You're violating traffic laws.
Right, you fucking idiot.
Yeah, traffic laws are based on. Oh my God, guys,
Yeah,
we're
this
not
is
talking
insane.
about this. We're
These
not.
people crazy.
Our laws
Remember
against
in John
pedophilia.
when Jesus
Our
was
laws.
speeding
Our
on his
laws.
camel?
Listen. Our laws
Unreal.
against pedophilia based on ethics. Our
Yes.
laws against pedophilia based on ethics.
Yeah, some laws
What
are based on ethics, but
What
they don't
ethics?
have to be.
What? Yes, they do. They have to be based on something.
Then tell me what
Laws
the
against
ethical system
pedophilia.
for stopping
What
at
is
a
that
stop
based
sign
on?
is. Grace,
What is that
stop
based
spurging.
on?
Stop.
I'm talking about
spurging.
moral laws. I'm talking about laws that are based
Grace,
in
you
morality.
have
They
to
come from a
stop
set of
spurging.
ethics. You two have been spurging all fucking night. Just because
Grace,
I talked
we were
doesn't mean you
arguing.
can just call it spurging.
Grace, we were arguing. You're spurging.
No,
need
you
to
just
calm
call
down.
people. No, respond to my point.
I'm trying
Laws,
to, but you won't shut up.
Moral laws that are based in morality, like a law against pedophilia, is based in an ethical reasoning that comes from natural law.
Some laws.
Does it not?
Some
Well,
laws.
laws that are based around a moral code, right?
So
Like something
some
is wrong
laws.
or not.
Repeat back the word "some laws," so I know that you heard what I said.
Okay, yes, some laws are arbitrary, but there are laws that are
Then your
specifically.
point is now just sit there.
No. Laws
Grace,
are
this is
based
the world
on a
that you
set
want.
of ethics.
Grace, this is what
What,
you want.
what else
isn't
are
it?
laws based on? Just random choice? People
Beating
should
women.
drive safe.
It turns out
People
women
should
are
drive
liars.
safe.
I list
Oh,
20.
yeah, hold on, wait,
can
wait,
be.
oh, yeah, wait,
people,
Grace is
so
right.
people
Grace
should
is right.
drive
Grace,
safely.
Grace, Grace,
People
Grace,
should
you're
respect
right.
other
Grace,
people's rights
yes,
to safety.
Grace,
That's
Grace,
a code of
yes,
ethics
Grace,
that says we should
Grace, Grace,
respect
Grace.
other people.
Grace, you are correct, and that law is generally downstream from morality. Okay, that is true, but it's still distinctly different from morality. What is in the code? What is codified in the
This
law
is correct.
is not necessarily an ethic or a moral, but it comes from ethics or morals. That is correct, right?
Well, morality is the philosophical sense of it's philosophy, but laws are the practical application.
Practical application,
of
yes, but the
that
difference is
philosophy.
that laws, right? In a society full of people, not everybody has to agree on what's morally right. We
All
do
of
have to
this
agree on the law.
should
That's the
be an
difference.
issue.
So the law is hopefully
Yeah.
an
Oh, that should be
abstraction
fine. Okay.
collectively of all the different moralities and ethics that we have in the United States or in your
But
state
actually,
or in your city.
but what is a law that
Ooh,
wouldn't
whoa.
reflect some morality? Even the stop sign, it's saying it's wrong to disrespect other people's safety by
it
blowing
saying
through
it's
this.
wrong?
and
No.
not stopping
No.
other
It's not
people.
so much. It's not so
Fuck.
much
It is
that the law.
based on
Hitting
It's
me.
not
Left
so
side.
much that the law won't reflect any morality. It's that the law won't reflect all morality. For
But it
instance,
doesn't
all
have
of us.
to. You can have a law that says headhunting is legal. Does that
That's great.
reflect morality?
That's great. All of us can think
No,
of things that are.
I'm backing
I
your
don't- hold
point.
on, I know, but
That's not
hold on.
true.
All
Point
there
out
are
a
all
law that
things-
has no
there
moral.
are all
background.
no. Stop. I don't know why he said that. That's not my point. Okay, hold on. What I'm saying is that all laws can probably be traced back to some moral idea because that's kind of where a law comes from. It's a protection for society,
Yes.
right? However, not all moral ideas lead to laws, right? So your pool of morals is going to be way bigger than your pool of laws. For instance,
I
I'm sure we can all think of things that's not illegal that is very immoral. Calling your mom a cunt or lying to a friend or cheating on a partner. These are all things that we would probably say are immoral. Calling somebody a racial slur. These are all things that are immoral, but we wouldn't necessarily say they're illegal, right? So they're going to be more moral things than they're illegal things. And the reason why, hold on, real quick.
Yeah,
the
of
reason why is
course,
because
of course.
all of us in the United States have tons of different moral systems, but we can only have one legal system. So we all have to come together legally, which means all of us are going to have things morally that we wish could be illegal, but they can't because it might conflict with somebody else's morals. That's how in the United States we can have two conflicting sets of ethics because the law is a collection of the aggregate of our moral feelings, and it
Yeah.
doesn't have to necessarily map on one-to-one with our personal set of ethics.
I
That's
agree,
why
I
there are
agree.
huge big
Well, hang on,
there's
hang on.
not.
Grace,
I agree, but the
that
original-
wasn't. But hang on, Grace. That
No,
actually.
let
isn't
me
the
respond
point.
now. Let me
That's
respond.
not
No,
the-
don't
Grace,
just budge
you're
in.
just
Shut
gonna
the fuck
bury
up,
yourself,
Andrew.
Grace.
Shut the fuck up. Let me
You're
respond.
gonna bury yourself.
Okay?
You're too stupid
No,
for this conversation.
I'm agreeing with him. What Erudite was saying
You don't
was
even
that
know what you're talking about.
she was saying you can have a code of ethics that's
Here you
that
go.
is
Get
different
destroyed,
from another
Grace.
code of ethics, and yet you can be the
God.
thing that one person is doing is not immoral. That's not true. If somebody has a Catholic code of ethics and they compare it to the legal system in America, they
Alright,
would
while
not say
that's
that if
going,
somebody
I'm
does
gonna need to
something
go get
illegal
some
legal in
Bandicite.
America that is immoral to them, that's okay. She was saying that's okay. Her morality
Because-
only applies to herself.
Sure. No. Yes, because the difference is going to be is that she's going to have a moral system. Let's say hypothetically she has a moral system that says that eating pork is not okay, right? And by the way, this is how real world people practice their morals, right? Go talk to Jewish people, go talk to Muslim people. They might say, I don't eat pork. They're not going to say, I think you're a sinner because you don't eat pork. They're just going to say, I'm not going to partake in your pork eating with you. As long as you're not violating the collective ethics, our law system, we can all have our own individual set of ethics. One man might say, I don't eat pork, I don't partake in masturbation. And another man might say, I do that. if they're not in the same moral collective sphere, if they don't have the same religious belief, he's not going to say, wow, I think you're living a life of sin. He's going to say, like, oof, you've lived like, you have a totally different set of ethics than me.
The thing about eating pork is not a
Bro,
moral
it's
law.
bothering
That's
me.
about, like,
I'm gonna
religious
have to stop
cleanliness.
this.
That's not a moral
No,
thing.
okay,
Whereas
hold on, Grace.
partaking in pornography is it's a religious law. It's a religious law. So if somebody's of a different religion, of course you wouldn't expect them to follow your religious law.
Then ignore the pork thing. I don't think what you said, but fine. Replace it with literally anything. It might be treating your parents disrespectfully. But what I'm saying is that like somebody might say, I'm not going to judge them as immoral because they're from a totally different religious system. As long as they follow the law, that's fine.
Shut up. Now, Destiny, back to this though. My point wasn't whether or not you could have a different set of laws between Group A and Group B. But if you're part of Group B's ethical system, then only that ethical system for you can be true. That's the point. So if you have a conflict between Christian ethics and whatever's going on in secular society, only one of those can be true. You already admitted that only one of those can be true. So if that's true, then you have to operate from the true one, right? Or you should.
That's true, but just because there's a conflict there, if part of your beliefs is wait, hold on, real quick. I'm sorry, and then I'm done. Just because there's a conflict there doesn't mean that it needs to be reconciled. For instance, a good Christian probably would say you ought to go to church every single Sunday. That's not mandated by
the government. It's a religious law,
right?
not a moral law. It's a religious law. It's a religious law.
Please,
different.
Let's let Destiny finish.
Okay, right. But maybe in the wider government,
can't
people
tell if
aren't
it's
mandated to go to church, right?
on
Just
my end
because
that
you
it's
might
doing
feel
that, or
that
if
way
it's
personally doesn't mean you think you need to compel all of society to feel that way. Now, if somebody says, what's the true rule? What should everybody do? Well, you wouldn't even say everybody should do this moral thing. What you would say is everybody should believe in the same moral truth that I do, and then from there would stem the moral thing.
Thank you. Okay, so since we've conceded that this is true, then when I ask Kyla, which thing is true, pornography as being moral, or your Christian ethics saying that that's immoral, only one can be true, she should answer that her purview for Christianity is true. Right, Destiny?
No, you're so fucking stupid. Okay,
I don't even know.
Break this down. I'll break this down for you. I'll break this down for you. Go ahead. Are you going to just keep whinging out?
Go ahead.
Okay. If the government said I had to make pornography, there would be a conflict here because I might be personally opposed to it for religious reasons. But it is not opposed to my religious system for the system to say that people can do pornography at large. And I don't have to weigh in strongly, but whether pornography for non-Christians is bad or good, this isn't conflicting because, as you would agree, there are some religious moral laws that will be true for us as religious people that are not true for other people.
You just conflated religious moral laws.
Well, hang on. Let me finish, Grace. Let me just finish with a rejoinder. I'm almost done. Destiny would disagree with you because he just got done disagreeing with you. He said only one of these ethical systems can be true, and shouldn't you operate off of the true ethical system, Destiny?
But I'm saying that the law is not an ethical system. It's an aggregate.
That's not what I asked.
But that's not the question.
You're asking. Your question is nonsense. Then.
There is
no aggregate ethical system.
You just said all laws are based in ethics.
Wait. I think I understand. I think I can bridge the gap. Andrew's not talking about the law at all. He's talking about your personal system of ethics. And the point he's trying to make is that, like, hey, well, isn't that if you believe as a religious person this is the right way to live, then doesn't that have to apply to people who are non-religious?
No, that is
about moral things. Yes,
no.
Yes.
This is expressly anti-biblical.
It's not.
There are absolutely moral requirements of Christians in the Bible that it is expressly clear that Gentiles are not required to do. This is common throughout the Bible.
Kyla, we're not talking about religious laws. Moral laws are valid universally. If it's wrong to do something, what makes it wrong to do something, right? It's because it hurts somebody. If something will hurt somebody, that's how we determine ethics. If something will hurt somebody, it doesn't matter which person of which religion is doing it. It's wrong.
She needs to shut up.
The 10
She's so
Commandments apply to
stupid.
everyone.
She's so fucking
There's a
dumb.
lot of things are considered unethical by religious people that don't hurt anybody. And that's part of it, but it's not the whole thing. Right?
Yeah, like I can't, like for instance, like not doing penance for a sin. That's like that would be wrong. But I can't. I just never in my life of Christian education have I ever heard.
No, it's a fucking moral law. You need to be in
I don't know why
sanctifying grace as a Catholic. You fucking insane Catholic woman. Are you kidding me?
I don't know why you keep saying it's a religious law and it's not moral. That doesn't make any sense. Our religious laws like are heavily instructive of what our moral things are.
I mean, you could say you should make it up to people, but
stop.
penance
Not like
You're gonna go to hell if you're not in sanctifying grace. That's your belief. That's your fucking belief, Grace.
I don't know why you keep saying this. It doesn't make any sense.
Okay, I'll give you a better example.
What I'm saying is that like I've never heard in my entire life Christians saying like, wow, this person like should be doing like penance or should be like usually what they're saying if they're gonna make any moral statement about you, they're saying you should convert. Because the idea that they would fall, like even the idea that you would tell a non-religious person to follow your religious values doesn't make sense. Because why would they? They would say convert.
I'll
repent to
give
Christ.
you an example.
Hang on, let me finish. I just let everybody talk. Let me talk.
He let them talk.
Well, I'm the moderator. Just let me get this one word in, and then it's all you, man. All right. So the one example that I would say that's a good example I think really add to this discussion is drugs. I think a lot of people would say drugs are immoral, right? But they don't actually hurt anyone. Okay, go ahead, Andrew.
So again, the point is whether or not only one of those can be true, and by the laws of logic, only one can be true, or both are untrue. But if you at least believe one is true, then how can shut up, Erudite?
Drugs can be a sin or not a sin.
Bro, let me finish my question.
If you can,
Destiny,
can you agree
shut
to the
up,
statement?
shut
Can you
up,
agree to the statement?
shut
I don't
up,
want to.
let me
We're
finish.
just gonna loop. You're just looping.
No, I need you to answer. Actually,
I
answer this.
understand that you
Stop
disagree
freaking
with
out,
this.
Erudite. Stop
I
freaking out.
understand that you
Stop
disagree
freaking
with
out.
this.
I let all of you talk.
Understand that you're
Let me talk.
Yeah,
Stop
Andrew,
talking.
you're the pinnacle of like
Stop talking,
just
Erudite.
can you agree with this
Okay,
statement,
so-
Andrew? Can you agree with this statement? Can you agree that it might be okay for one person morally to do an action and not another? Can you agree that these two things would work
Oh
within
my
the moral
God, it's
system?
bothering
That
me.
one
Yes,
person
there
can do
could
an
be overlap. Yes.
Great, we agree.
No, we don't agree on anything.
Wait, hold on,
Because-
Andrew. Your answer to that question was no. Andrew didn't hear you. He must not have heard you.
I think he does agree.
Kylo was asking, is it possible that a person could do
Oh,
something that
son
is
of a bitch.
simultaneously
Okay.
moral or immoral? Andrew is literally appealing
No.
to the property of non-contradiction. Yes.
Yeah,
He's
no,
trying to see. He's
they
appealing to a
couldn't.
proper,
Oh.
basic logic law. But the problem is the argument that Andrew's trying to make. But we're never going to move on from this. Andrew is trying to say that moral law is fact. It's true. There are true moral
No.
statements.
I know.
Please, Andrew, why can't if nobody
Because
can
if
if
you
me of
can't
all people
restate my
can't summarize?
position-
I literally give me a second to restate your position. I don't know why you think I can't do it. I'm doing it perfectly. And if
You're
you can't
not.
understand that, I don't know why the fuck you've been trying.
I can
Wait,
just
Andrew,
do it. It was
no,
my
you
turn.
obviously
It was
you clearly
my
can,
turn.
and nobody's understanding you.
It's my turn. Let me put
how is
out
it
my
your turn?
position.
You just cut me off in the middle of my sentence. How
I
can you
was
just take a
starting.
turn?
You cut me off, Destiny.
Oh
Let
my
me
God.
finish.
Stop.
Let me finish my question, and
let's-
then you
well,
can
okay,
just
hang on,
answer
hang on,
it.
stop,
You don't
stop.
even
Okay.
have to guess. I'll just state it.
Hang on.
Okay, this is pissing me
All right,
off.
let's go.
State it.
Andrew, hang on here. Andrew was about to talk before, so let's
That's
let
right.
Andrew talk. Right after that, it's going to be Destiny, and whoever else wants to talk after that. But Destiny will have uninterrupted time to talk as soon as Andrew says whatever he wants to say. Okay,
So
go
this
ahead.
is always a common tactic of deflection, but I'm not going to move off of it. Destiny is not going to be able to straw man it. I'm going to ask again, since by Destiny's concession, if your belief is only one of them is true, shouldn't you follow the one you believe is true, Destiny?
Yes.
Yes. Thank you. So Kyla, then
you
you're a
personally-
hypocrite,
Your question
Kyla.
is
No,
meaningless.
no,
though. Your question is meaningless.
Hang on. Let's let Destiny now say what he wants to say. Go ahead.
He keeps the problem is he believes that there is one moral truth, and so if you're doing an action, it is either morally acceptable or morally unacceptable. It cannot be both at the same time. But the problem is he keeps conflating the law and an individual like religious.
I don't
sex,
understand where he keeps coming
ethics.
with.
But these are two different things.
No
The
one
law
is saying
not an
anything
ethical
about the
guidance.
law.
I'm literally
Yes,
not
it
denying that
is.
these are two different things. I'm saying that if you believe one of them is true, you should operate on the one you believe is true, right?
And she does. She probably does.
Yes,
She
personally, I do. Personally,
She
I do.
doesn't. So if Christians in your worldview then, hang on, if that's true, you operate on the one you believe is true, then you should be able to say that this action, which is violation of these ethics, is immoral, right, Erudite?
No.
No.
Of course not. Of
Destiny,
course
you
not.
can't
if you're a
possibly
Christian,
back
you're
that.
No.
How do you
You're a
think
Christian,
that?
okay,
How do you think that her
here's an
refusal
example
to
that applies to most Christians. Abortion is legal, right? But Kyla, as a Christian, you would say abortion is the murder of an innocent child, right? It is immoral, right?
Nope.
So you can't say just because abortion is legal that it's moral for other people to do, right? That doesn't make it moral for other people to do.
For non-religious people because there isn't a super strong religious. So it's
no, it doesn't have to do with religion though. This is what you don't understand. It's a universal moral law that killing an innocent person is immoral. It doesn't matter what religion you're from.
Okay, are we done with like the moral ethics? I'm not deontological. I am not a moral universalist. You are, so we are never going to reconcile our differences because I reject.
How can you think that having an abortion is immoral and yet morally neutral for somebody else?
Stop.
Because I don't believe that the fetus is ensouled at conception. Is one of the biggest ones.
Okay,
but do you think abortion is immoral?
When?
At any point. It's a human life from conception.
So I reject that. I do not believe that the fetus is ensouled at conception. I've already said I reject that.
Okay, so you're not a Christian.
Okay, I guess whatever
you don't
hold
you okay, so
I do not
that doesn't make any sense. That's been
ensouled at
disproven.
conception.
When do you believe you're ensouled, Kyla?
I would say probably about 15 weeks. Seems to me.
Okay, so you know when God ensouls children, right? Because you believe in ensoulment.
Nobody knows. Of course, nobody knows.
Okay, so nobody knows. So nobody knows, but you think it might be okay to kill a child before 15 weeks because you're guessing that that's when God ensouls children?
Stop. I don't want to turn this into an abortion debate. It's just like so off track. We're going on like almost 2.5 hours. I think we should get into closing statements. If you guys want to do like another 5 minutes of back and forth, that's fine. But yeah, if we're going to get into an abortion debate, it's going to go
I don't know if Grace is aware of the history of the Catholic Church, but even the Catholic Church didn't always believe that life began at conception. In fact, the old precept was that the fetus was ensouled at 40 days if they were a male and at 80 days if they were a female. There's multiple situations where it does not seem like all forms of abortion are always necessarily immoral.
Well, but you have to understand they didn't understand the science behind it. They kind of thought that a woman was like a garden in which a seed was planted and then the seed grew and then like at the quickening, which is like when the baby kicks, that's when it like receives the soul from God.
Okay, so
they didn't understand
that the science matters for informing your religious predilections on morality.
Absolutely, yeah. The science 100% says that life starts. Well, the only question is when ensoulment happens, because science says that life starts.
Grace is so retarded.
A unique human life starts at conception.
She falls into every fucking trap. Every time.
Science does not back that a unique human life is created at conception. No, it does. It absolutely 100%
I don't want to do. Yes, you're right.
Human life.
Human chromosomes.
I don't want to get into the abortion debate. It's going to be going for 5 hours. Let's do this. Let's do closing statements. I'll give everyone 2 or 3 minutes each, and then we'll do a few super chats and we'll wrap up. Sorry, guys. Unfortunately, we don't have enough time for an open panel because I do, as always, have to make it to Whole Foods before they close, and they close at 11. So I'm gonna get there like 10:55, as always. People are gonna be pissed off at me, but that's the kind of sacrifice I make for you guys. All right, let's go in order that we did for closing statements. So I'll start off with you, Andrew, Kyla, Destiny, and Grace.
Well, just remember that this is the strongest kind of win, which is that I caught my opponents in an actual performative contradiction. Destiny didn't even need to accept. I don't even know why he accepted it, but it was a performative contradiction. Performative contradiction is simple. If you claim that you believe truth is one set of ethics, and then somebody else is doing something which is a violation of what you believe is truth, you necessarily would have to say that that's immoral. There's no way around that. There's never going to be a way around that. There's no compelling arguments that my opponents have made on this at all. Not a single one. A lot of prattle, a lot of bullshit. Never made a single good argument against this. Not one time. They just say, well, there could be overlap, which nobody disagreed with. Of course there could be overlap. But they never made an actual argument against this. They just kind of conceded it's true, then restated my position, strawmanned it, and I had to restate it 15 times. But Destiny agreed that that is a true statement. So there's no way around the performative contradiction. Grace is fucking stupid. Not my debate partner. Didn't come into this panel with a debate partner. And so don't fucking clip it, Destiny and Erudite, and say that this chick was my debate partner to make yourselves look better. She's not my fucking debate partner.
You're just mad I didn't respond to your
closing statements.
It was pandered to me as an open debate panel. I knew it was going to be this way because Erudite and Destiny, basically, she's a clone of him, but she's not my fucking debate partner.
Okay, let's go next to Kyla.
Okay, it doesn't take like super high IQ to understand that like any moral system that makes any sense has relativity baked into it. And based on relativity, you can have things that are true for some individuals at some times and not true for other individuals. It's just like super simple. For example, it's wrong to steal, but most people would agree contextually that if you need to steal to like survive and like provide for your family, most people would agree that that's actually fine. Most Christians would agree with this. Most people would agree with this. I don't know why Andrew's disagreeing with me, because he explicitly said that he believes in relativity and the fact that he thinks that he can chain smoke cigarettes and have an addiction and it's fine, but for other people it's not fine, which is implying necessarily that there's a relativistic nature to sin. He's already agreed with
Again,
all I can
strawmanning the shit.
Like cigarettes have invited demonic entanglement into Andrew's old raptured mind, and Beelzebub has entered his lungs and migrated to his brain, and the brain cells are being possessed by a demon one at a time, and his mental faculties are failing him, as his health does too. That's all I can.
All right, cool. Let's go to Destiny next.
Yeah, I don't even know what the fuck we were talking about at the last of this. I hope that Grace stops fucking her dad.
Okay, let's go to Grace.
Closing statements. Hang on. Grace interrupted my closer, so yeah, base Destiny. That was funny.
Yeah, you guys are all insufferable assholes. I would like to take my closing statement to announce that I am permanently resigning from debating. I think this is one of the things that make women unhappy, pretending to be a man. I don't think women are fit to debate with men. I think Erudite should take a break too. I'm open to cat fights or panel debates, but I do not think that I am a man, and I'm not going to try to be anymore. Goodbye.
Well, this was a panel debate. I literally said, hey, I'm doing a panel debate with Destiny, Kyla, and Andrew. That was funny. Okay, that was some good comedic relief. All right, anyway, so yeah, let's let's just go through a few super chats really quickly, and then we'll wrap up. Okay, here's one. Andrew, can you quit smoking for 6 months? Show us that you're not addicted to it. I don't know. What do you think?
No, I'm most definitely addicted to nicotine.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
In his case.
Yeah. Okay, he didn't bring the laws. He was asking, how do you have two contradictory moral quotes in your head? Deflection. So Team Fatty. And I think he super chatted this.
Can't keep up.
If you have moral contradicting beliefs in your head, you are showing cognitive dissonance. You have to pick one.
Okay, I've already outlined why.
That's correct. You do. No, hang on. Let me respond to the super chat.
I know you love it.
Have to. Well,
Team
okay. So
Fatty
are we responding to the super chats or not? So you tell me, Alex.
Let's quickly respond to the super chat.
Okay, great. So if we're responding to the super chat, it is cognitive dissonance. I proved it. It's also a performative contradiction. This is very basic, right? I can't even believe she bit the bullet on it, right? I know Destiny understands what's going on. I think he understands what's going on. But yeah, this is a pretty bad bullet to bite, in fact.
Okay.
As long as you say it loudly, this is Andrew's like motif. In fact, I see it in all of your chatters that are in my comment section right now, where you guys just like believe unironically. As long as I just say, I won, I beat everyone, I have the biggest, best words, I have the greatest words, that just like people will believe you. And unfortunately for your low IQ viewers, that is true. Unfortunately, it's not compelling to the rest of us. You continuing to say, I won, doesn't mean that you won.
Well, I'll end up with this. I'll end off on a warm, fuzzy note. I truly appreciate every single one of you. You guys are all good people. I enjoy chatting with all of you. And even though you guys have some radically different beliefs, I think you're all good people. Grace, I'm not as sold on, but, we'll see how that...
Well, hang on. Can I, in the spirit of good charity, also thank my opponents for coming in? I appreciate you having me on the panel. Both Erudite and Destiny, I don't usually ever take conversations like this personally if I can avoid it. It looked like Erudite and Grace were having the exchange, so I got involved. But I don't generally bring up people's personal lives. I don't give a shit about that. I was really just here for the arguments.
Yeah.
Okay, hold on, wait. That is not true. Andrew, you gossip so much on Twitter.
Yeah, you're such a fucking liar.
So do you.
This is insane.
So do you.
He's not saying, I don't like to do this. He's not morally pontificating. I'm sure Destiny would agree. I do talk shit about people.
Hang on. Stop. What's wrong with me addressing what's going on in real time, or allegations which are made and things like this in real time? That's not even gossip.
Because the allegations and gossip have nothing to do with any of the points or any of this kind of people. You're like Rollo in this space. You just like to keep up with the gossip.
Tell me which thing. specifically?
The obsessing over like me and Lauren's hypothetical aborted child. Like I
Did you
make
fuck?
like random.
Okay,
tweets.
hang on. Then let me ask you a question directly. Answer it directly. Did you fuck Lauren Southern?
It's hard to say for sure because I don't know if a
Just
threesome with her and
answer
your
the
mom at the
question.
same time
Did
counts.
you
Andrew, you're
have
doing
sex?
the thing right now.
You're just deflecting.
I'm not
Just
deflecting.
so
I'm
it's clear,
trying
I'm not trying to make
like
things
You're
personal.
you
deflecting.
just said I'm talking about things that are true and important to the space,
Relevant
and
and
now
true.
you're like obsessed.
Spit on me,
They're
little bitch.
relevant and true. You refuse to actually
What is the
answer.
relevancy? Okay, tell me. Let's say
Okay,
that I say
boy.
yes or no. What are the different worlds that open up?
One's a
to
lie
us?
and one's the truth.
Why
No,
do
but
you care?
you're saying it's relevant. Like, what does it impact?
Well, the relativity is whether or not Lauren Southern's a chronic liar who cheated on her husband and is LARPing as a trad person while she was secretly having sex with you.
When is
which
the
is
last
true.
time? Wait.
It's not gossip if I'm asking the source. It's not gossip if I'm asking the source.
Let's say that's true. Okay. When have you ever interacted with her? Do you make content about her? Did you like interact with her in the YouTube space? Like,
Yeah,
I
I've
don't think you
interacted
care about
with
this at all. No, you don't. It's just gossip.
Yes, I do. In fact, she DMs my wife all the time. What are you talking about?
Are you and your wife the same person?
What does it have to?
Well, actually, yes, but
in the space.
If she DMs your wife all the time, then why not have your wife ask her?
She has.
Oh, well, then there you go.
Like
Then you guys can have
she's
that
deflected.
conversation.
And so you bring this up. You say I'm some gossip monger, but when you're directly asked these questions, you directly deflect. You don't actually answer them.
You're saying
I didn't come here to gossip, though,
Just say
guys.
no.
I didn't want to make it
Just say
personal. I just wanted to
no.
discuss ideas. Also,
Just say
Destiny, were you fucking
no.
Erudite? Also, Erudite,
He brought
why are
it
you
up.
a bad Christian
He
and
brought
having
it up.
open relationships?
He brought it up.
You asked me.
You're just a hedge.
You
That's
answer
funny.
no. Answer no or yes. Did you
No,
fuck
I
or
don't
not?
talk about my personal life or anything with other people on the internet.
So
That's
then don't say
supposed to
that Rolo's a gossip monger while you deflect from this question. Just answer the question.
That's literally the point of talking about gossip is deflecting. If you
No,
would ask
he
me if I
brought
fucked-
up evidence.
if you
He
asked
brought
me
up
if you
evidence.
really show where's the evidence?
The evidence is you want to answer the fucking question.
Andrew's like, as long as I say it
He
confidently.
brought
me
up,
there.
he said that he has a
When
source.
you've acted on it, you performed a
He
logical
said that he had a
contradiction. The
source.
strongest form of logical blah blah blah.
He
You got me,
claimed
dude.
that he had a source, and the source told him.
Well, if he claimed he had a source, well, fuck me.
And
I've
the
got a
source
source
was
that
her
said that you got
husband.
railed by 10 dudes in high school, Andrew.
Bro, just answer the question.
No, I don't talk about my personal life with
Right.
anybody. It's a policy I
that's-
have.
but
Just
we
because
know,
of gossipy
right?
people like you. I
So
don't
you
do
want
it.
to answer the question?
I won't. If you ask me if I fucked anybody, I won't tell you if I fucked Alex or not. No, I don't answer
You
those
talk
types of
about the
questions.
women you fuck constantly. Would you like a list?
If another person, if another person, I won't answer that question. I'm not saying this. Andrew, do you understand the difference? If a person wants to be public about a relationship that we've had, or if a person wants to come out and make statements about it, then sure, then I'll do that. That's fine. But that's a lot different than speculating on have you fucked this person, have you fucked that person, have you fucked that person?
Why did you ask
That's a
BX
totally different
Bullet
thing.
if she fucked? You asked BX Bullet if she fucked John Zerka.
I didn't ask her if she did.
You
I accused
did.
her.
I
And
have
that's
the
because I
DM. You want to see it?
Yeah, because I was fighting with her and John. But
Okay, so
listen,
you did
hold
ask
on.
her. So you did ask her. So why
Andrew,
can't I
This
ask
doesn't
you?
matter. Andrew, this doesn't matter. The
Andrew,
whole point you're making.
Andrew, you can ask me. When I
Yeah.
was asking BX Bullet, it's because I was shit slinging and being gossipy. The difference is I'll admit when I am.
So hang on. So it's not okay for me to do it. It's just okay for you to do it?
No, you stupid
If you want,
motherfucker.
hold
It's
on.
not okay for
Yeah,
you to
keep swerving.
pontificate about
Keep
not.
swerving.
No. If you want to do it, knock yourself out. That's why I blocked you on Twitter. I don't want to associate with it. But if
You
you
didn't
want
block
to
me
do
on
it,
Twitter. I think you're there right now.
oh fuck, I thought I did. My bad. If you want to
Yeah.
do it, you can do it. That's fine. But
By the
don't
way,
get mad. Don't
This
get
was
mad
only
when
brought
somebody-
up.
Don't
This was
get
only brought
mad.
up so
Oh
that
my
you
God.
understand in the
All right, okay.
context that Rolo brought it up. So I retweeted it. And then I asked you
No,
directly.
that's not true. You've obsessively been tweeting about this for like months. I've seen
Show
my
him.
Twitter.
Show it.
I don't have every tweet you've done on my
You
computer
go
right
over
now.
your tweets on
You
your
would
show
have bet
constantly.
$1,000 that you've tweeted about this at least 10 times this year. $1,000 on that.
I don't think I've tweeted about it 10 times.
Dude,
We bet
people link me your
$10,000 on it?
tweets all the not 10,000. Jesus.
10,000.
People
I mean,
link me your tweets all the time about this shit. It's not just because Rolo, and even if Rolo does bring it up, then just say, just admit it. Be like, oh, I was just being gossipy.
He brought it up.
Sometimes
I asked you.
Sometimes,
you still won't answer.
sometimes I gossip.
It's
and that's
relevant
fine.
to my political
God.
party.
It's not
whether or
relevant at all.
It is relevant.
It has no relevancy whatsoever. Even if me and
does.
Lauren had 50 secret children, it wouldn't be relevant at all to
It
anything.
would be. It would be relevant in this entire space. Is
It
this woman
really
is
wouldn't be. It would have
as a
no
parent,
impact on
killing
literally
trad girl.
anything.
Do you want to let me talk?
Oh yeah, you obsessed about Brittany from PP as well. That's true. I see you
keep
tweet
on
about her
going.
as well. True, you do.
Yeah,
You're a
keep on
gossip.
going.
You're a gossip. But just
Anything
own
you
it.
can do,
If you own
anything
it,
you
that's
can
fine.
do
It's
to
like, yeah, I
divert.
do gossip. That's fine.
But
We all
just
do
remember,
a little bit.
you haven't answered the question.
Correct,
Just
and I don't
admit it.
answer those types of questions.
You haven't answered the question.
Wait, just admit that you're a gossip then, Andrew.
It's not
What's wrong
gossip
with it?
to talk about things that are relevant going on in the space I'm in.
So relevant.
Oh, okay.
It is relevant, and I can
My
explain
dick
how.
is I guess Hunter's dick, my dick. How many dicks do you follow in the political movement?
How many
Nick's
dicks do you follow?
Follow Nick's
Jesus.
dick too,
Like,
apparently.
you think that people who espouse my beliefs, my ideology, and my ethical system, who are engaging in things counter to that, that's not relevant to me? That's bullshit. That's bullshit. You call that out yourself all the time. All the time for your
relevant things, but I don't sit here
this
like...
is a relevant thing.
Okay. All right.
How is Hunter Avalon's dick relevant to anything?
Because Hunter Avalon, who's long been considered a grifter inside of the space, he had a massive scandal which went on as he's going on Twitter and all these places, calling out conservatives and saying, no, I'm the trad guy because I have a nice wife and kids and blah, 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 who actually his wife was secretly setting up gangbangs in the background. That's what was really going on. And it's a bunch of bullshit. You guys can claim that this isn't relevant to the space, that the largest creators...
It's fine that you gossip,
bullshit.
Andrew. It's fine that you're a gossip girl. We all are. The problem is when you try to say that you're not. That's it. You just try
It's
to pontificate
relevant
and be like,
to my
none
political
of this
system.
is personal.
It's
I just am
relevant to
bringing
the
up
political
relevant
system.
discussions. I apologize. I didn't
They
want to
are
have to bring up
relevant.
these personal things. You're just lying.
No, I'm not lying. I didn't
You
bring
should
any of
use
this up in
pronoun
the debate.
she, her,
Other
'cause
people
apparently
did.
You're lying as often as women do about what they.
So because I go to a debate, I agree that I'm not going to bring up any personal attacks. This equates to my Twitter somehow because I retweet or engage in things which are relevant to the space that I'm in. That's absurd.
As long as you say it loudly, I'm sure somebody out there will believe you.
Well, I mean,
here we
give
go.
me an
All right,
argument. Can't wait to hear it.
Is there anything you want to say? Anyone? We'll wrap up. All right, there we go. Thank you, Destiny, for putting on using me as an example. Now, the 1% of cringy autistic people are going to use that as an example. They're, oh, Alex is gay. Look, Destiny called it out. But yeah, anyway, it was fun. It was fun having this discussion. I enjoyed it. I think the internet enjoyed it very much too. Yeah, I stand by what I said. You guys are all good people. I appreciate all of you. And yeah, if you guys want to really quickly plug your channels, feel free. I'll start off with you, Andrew.
My name is Andrew Wilson, host of The Crucible, I guess soon to be blocked by Destiny. But you can find me on The Crucible. And, you know, we also operate as a debate channel, and we have some of the finest debates on the internet. I appreciate both of my opponents' time. I do think these are relevant things to my space and what's going on politically, whether they want to believe that they're political figures or not.
Okay, cool. Kyla?
My name is Not So Erudite. Andrew and I are actually starting a new podcast together. It's called Gossip Girl, and in it we talk about relevant political discourse, and we outline, relevant, important gossip about other people. And you know what? I am here for BPF to be on his Mean Girl arc. Okay, I stan you, Slay Queen.
Okay, I'm looking forward to watching that. And Destiny?
YouTube.com/Destiny, Kick.com/Destiny, Instagram.com/Destiny. You know how it goes.
Sweet. All right, appreciate y'all. Have a good night, guys. Take it easy. We'll see you next time. Peace.
Love you. Bye.
Thanks, Alex.
Oh man. Well, thank God that's over. I've always appreciated the call out of Lauren Southern, though. I've always appreciated that. Yeah, my PC just seems to not be having a good. Just get rid of that completely. Okay. Well, I want to play music, but I can't. Oh yeah, that reminds me. I have to go back and edit out some of that last stream because YouTube was not very happy about that one. All right. 4 stacks should be enough for now. All right, let's. Oh boy. I think I need to just shut my PC down for a little while. I might end stream here in a minute and shut it down, especially if I'm gonna do another one later. Although it's not looking good because I'm not about to sit here and wait around till 10 o'clock. That's not gonna happen. Did not need to jump off. Let's see. What did I even need the cobblestone for? Oh, right. First thing. Yeah, that's what I need. Yeah. Go ahead and smelt these, I suppose. Alright. I guess I'll go ahead and go finish this platform over here. Instead, what we'll do is here. Because we're gonna have to have this. This will have to be here. And then this here. Okay. This done. Fantastic. I don't know why I needed that. Because what I actually need is so let's just go ahead and have. Actually, didn't do it. Whatever. That only gives me 2 pedestals, so I'm gonna need more stone brick. Did I? Yeah, never mind. Just gonna smoke a stack of this. And we'll have to wait on that. Gonna need 60 of that, I guess. Ah. What? Okay. I'm gonna need, let's see. And I always hate having just one of something in my inventory like that. Bothers me. Okay. Now I'm guessing I'm probably gonna need. Four pencils. I need to enchant the seed. Yeah. So I saw specifically that tomato seeds would work, so I'm gonna use those. I think I'm gonna use those. I'm pretty sure I'm gonna use those. Ooh, Kanye, very cool. We got it. So now we're gonna go. I'm gonna just do that shit in here, put this shit in here, and all this. And then throw that shit, that shit, that shit, that shit there. And then I need a hoe. This shit. And then also grab. Right. I don't know if it can grow in regular dirt or not, but I'm not really trying to find out how to do that again. It's not like it'd be that hard. I just don't want to. Bullshit. Okay. Oh, confused. What the fuck? Word, bitch. Alright. Get out of here too. Find dirt. So what is this? Oh, forgot about that. Okay. Then let's see if it works on this. Can I at least? Okay. Oh, whoops, I didn't go that far. I forgot I'm actually doing that now. I mean, can it just be placed in like... I don't actually want any of this shit, so get that shit out of my face. I guess. Oh, bullshit, I hit it. Alright, I'm gonna keep doing that. Makes sense. Okay. Real quick. That surely cannot be real life right there. That is just surely unreal. PC's just not having a very good time, so I'm gonna have to stop streaming here in a minute probably and let my PC chill out. God. Please die away from me. Okay. Now, what do I need? Blaze rod? I don't even have a lot of blaze rods, so that's enough for. That's enough for. Okay. That's enough for 2 blaze bearings. Machine base, 3 stone, 3 ingots, or 3 nuggets. What do I need to compress stone? Oh, okay. Oh, I put it in the chest. I just need. I don't like the doll. Porcelain and clay, isn't that just grout and or bone meal and clay? And then what else? An emerald? 5. Porcelain. Or a diamond. I have more diamonds than I have emeralds. So I only need. Well, I guess I need 4. So. Then it's just 4 blaze powder. I actually don't have any glowstone either. And then I don't even know how you. So I have to go find a blaze and capture it in there. Okay. So I'm gonna have to build them, and then I'm gonna have to go in the Nether and find blazes, which I have not yet done. I have yet to find blazes in the Nether. Okay. Okay. Well, I'm gonna go ahead and probably end here. That way I can let my PC rest for a little while. I appreciate everybody from coming out and listening to that shit show of a supposed debate with me. But it was fun, and I'll see everybody later. Peace out.